Wake up, gamers, because you're listening to Big Think Dimension with Dan Video Games.
Hey.
Chris Wolfhard.
Remember the Alarmo.
And Dr. Agro.
Fucking, where is my wife?
Here on GigaBoots.
I'm still waking up. I'll be honest, I backed down from my original intro phrase. My original intro phrase was, "Have you married my wife, scene?" And I was like, I am not caffeinated enough. I'm not awake enough. I will just critically fail saying this. Bob is sick. He has a little bit of a dry throat. It's not bad. It's nothing too bad from what he was saying. Just, you know, we did this radical thing. Check this out. Someone wasn't feeling well, so we didn't make them come to work. He's probably... I know, how un-American of me. He probably... you know, I notice... Okay, so here's something about this layout I only now notice now that we're live. It seems like they're conspiring against me. That's not just me, right? My co-hosts seem to be over there, like, just leaning in. Like, obviously, Aggro is being, like, Chris is Aggro's evil vizier. He's putting bad ideas into his head as he leans in and adjusts his glasses.
Who up plotting against their sultan? You have been kicked from Grand Vizier chat. You have been invited to Grand Vizier chat, parentheses, secret.
But yeah, no, Bob's getting a big think off, and somewhat remarkably, also Silent Hill 2 Remake's Friday stream, which will last by current Silent Hill maths of how long those took us compared to how long to beat. This will take 40 hours straight. So I'm very excited for the Friday stream as I sit there and look for my co-host in the town of Silent Hill. I did some prep for Silent Hill 2. I did a little bit of prep. I've been really excited. So I already had these plans, but as I'm listening to a podcast from the director of Returnal from 2 years ago, talking about inspirations for the game, they're like, you know, we like David Lynch. I'm like, you don't say. Now that I've seen a shitload of David Lynch stuff, that seems really obvious. But in preparation for Silent Hill 2, I watched Lost Highway, David Lynch film, and I watched Jacob's Ladder, because people keep going, you know, you should watch Jacob's Ladder. And I'm like, that you're telling me there's going to be something even more like directly incorporated into Silent Hill 2 than Blue Velvet? And in a sense, yes, absolutely. But in another sense, no, not at all. Have either of you seen Jacob's Ladder?
No, I know it's like a weird hell dreamscape, though, that is like very similar in terms of atmosphere, even if it's not directly analogous.
So...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I was gonna say no, I haven't seen it, but I just Googled it, and every one of these screenshots is like, ooh, this is that weird 90s weirdness shit that I do like.
So we're gonna talk mildly spoiler or significantly spoilery, but there's a catch-22 there about the movie Jacob's Ladder for 1 second, because I think it's worth it. If you haven't had the opportunity, maybe go watch Jacob's Ladder. Hey, have you seen a movie with a twist before? The twist is really obvious. So anyways, Jacob's Ladder, the cool thing about it is I think the part of Silent Hill 2 that they were like, oh yeah, this definitely, is the part where the city maybe is literally hell or purgatory or something for the main character. They're like, that's really cool. And James should wear a jacket just like a Vietnam vet, like the GI style green jacket that big. We'll just rip off every identifying part of that and he'll just be left with this big green coat. I thought that was unbelievably funny watching the film. There are also a couple other scenes that are, when it comes to animation and things, very good. But still, Blue Velvet's where it's really at, if you want to see a dude in a closet watch some abuse go down and maybe start jacking it. Did that happen in the remake? Did he actually jack it this time, or are we?
Oh yeah, they show his cock and everything. It's fucking weird.
Awesome! Finally, only the PS5 can do this.
And he starts crying too. It's really strange.
Man, even the references are in higher fidelity, even truer to the source material.
It was really inspired. Like, he only started after he shot Pyramid Head a couple of times with the gun and found out he was immune to bullets.
Yeah, can we talk about how fucking stupid James is for a second? Like,
James is really fucking stupid.
If I see a fucking monster from hell and it has a giant slab of fucking iron covering its head, that's not going to be where I aim a 9mm.
I was going to ask if that was a thing in the original, that James Sunderland is the dumbest motherfucker on the face of the earth.
That dude's part dense as hell. Yeah, no, he's. Which, you know,
although it kind of comes off worse in the it comes off a little bit different in the remake, because Dan, we had a pretty hearty chuckle at him with the noose looking like the dog that pissed on the. That's just how his face looks constantly at all times in this remake.
Is this because he knows he's a giant piece of shit and that's how he got here?
I don't know. If you had to put a gun to my head, I would assume they were like, we need to take how they feel about the end away from the audience. We need to lead them to the conclusion we want them to be at. So he has to look like a dog that shit the carpet every single time you see his face.
If anything, I think they should have just done his face up as Tim Robbins, like as he was in Jacob's Ladder. They should have just gone the whole way. They should have been like, here's our mod to change his face. Let me just see if I can pull up an image of Tim Robbins in Jacob's Ladder wearing the jacket and everything. Yeah, sure. You know what? This is perfect. His face looks terrible because he's on his fucking back. Wait. No, we got this good leaning shot. Nah, that's not the right coat. Okay, we're going with him knocked on his ass. We're going with that one. Anyway, I think that would have been a good choice instead of a completely novel thing. Anyway, I suppose.
Huh.
Yeah.
Sorry, like that image was giving off real strong, like Kmart Daniel Jackson from Stargate vibes. Which is weird because as I was playing the Silent Hill 2 remake, I'm like, you are like Leon Kennedy from Wish, my guy.
That's really funny. Yeah, I guess I should just give the floor to you two to talk about Silent Hill 2 Remake because you both played it and I have not. And
I can talk about it a little.
Okay. How much let's start with how much have you played?
6 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm about 6 hours in. I'm like in the middle of the hospital. Or what feels like the middle of the hospital. I'm not sure.
Based on what I've heard, no. More than one person told me I felt like I was in that fucking hospital forever.
Oh, that's how I felt during Silent Hill 3. But that is neither here nor there.
Like there's ironically, I mean, Aggro's gonna have more because Aggro didn't play Silent Hill 2 original.
Right.
But for me, it's like there's not that much to talk about. They turned like this game was like lab engineered to be as reverent as possible to not trigger online backlash, which seems to have mostly been effective. Like they put the skin of Silent Hill 2 over kind of a AAA game, not really, because you'd expect a modern AAA game to have more things in it. But like you hold L2 and you raise the gun and you press R2 to shoot it and you press square to reload. If you swing your melee weapon, you will magnetize towards the nearest enemy and slide towards them in order to ensure you hit them.
The only clip of that.
Sometimes.
The only
Sometimes.
clip of that I've seen was the one Aggro posted in the Discord of him magnetizing towards the enemy and up on top of, what was it, a truck?
The bed of a truck and getting
truck,
stuck.
and I couldn't
you're
get
not supposed
back
to get
down,
up.
and I couldn't reach anybody.
So what happened to me was very early in the game. First of all, they make you do like a Resident Evil puzzle to even get to the apartment buildings. It takes like an hour. That was just not in the original in any form.
Yeah, because you can sort of just stumble in if you know where to go.
But like an enemy cop popped in, and I'm like, well, I'm not gonna fucking fight this enemy. I'll just break this window and hop over it. So I hit the button to break the window. James pivots 180 degrees and slides 5 feet across the floor to swing at that fucking enemy.
Yep.
Like, there's so little interesting you can say because it is just Silent Hill 2. Like, James doesn't mutter to himself, like they didn't do that.
Thank God.
He can't do like Leon drop kicks on staggered enemies. They didn't do that.
That would have been unreal.
Like, they didn't add an upgrade system or anything. But at the same time, they made the game 3 fucking times longer. 2.5 to 3 times longer, which makes it feel just bizarre. Because they didn't really add anything, but it still became longer. Like, they added more sections to each part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But not in the sense where there's like cutscenes or new interactions. There are some new interactions between characters, but not in the sense where there's like cutscenes and like story in it. It's just like James fell to yet another layer of this hell and has to do a whole nother set of puzzles to continue to progress that were not in the original game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like this game feels like almost like, again, lab grown to be as inoffensive as possible, which also means it doesn't really have any strengths. And despite clearly not wanting to get heat for making Silent Hill 2 an action game, they sure sometimes go, here's 7 motherfuckers, have fun.
All I can think of is that one hallway in fucking 3 with the 4 fucking nurses, and I'm just like...
It literally feels like it has 3's level of enemies.
I gotta ask, is there puzzle and combat levels separately selectable?
Yes, there is still that. Anything that was in Silent Hill 2 is in this. They didn't fucking take out shit. Because they knew they would get heat for anything they removed, surely.
Can you adjust that mid-run, or is that just when you start a new file?
I don't know. I didn't go look.
I bet it's just when you start.
Yeah, I think you can't change the puzzle difficulty mid-run.
Yeah, that'd be too hard because you could be in the middle of a puzzle, and the puzzle difficulty in Silent Hill 2, if Aggro doesn't know, really, like, it adds more pieces to each puzzle.
Yeah, after I did the the coin box puzzle in the Woodside Apartments, I went to look it up to see what the differences were, to see how that worked. And yeah, no, that's really interesting. Like, it changes, it changed the clues entirely and the locations of some stuff.
Yeah, that's a really cool thing about it. Now time for the part that was inevitable, me bitching about how this game performs. Motherfucker, you don't look good enough to have performance this bad. Like, you look worse than Alan Wake 2 and Resident Evil 4 Remake, 2 games that were pretty much constantly 60 in performance mode. Why, when I go out into a 20 by 20 courtyard of an apartment building that has 3 enemies in it, do you tank to like 35?
Oof.
Why does that happen? Nothing about this game looks as good as those other games I mentioned. Like, the facial animations, like the facial work is worse. The character models are worse.
Right.
The enemies are not like they're like the main enemy has no fucking limbs. It's just like a smooth like mound of flesh. Why? What is making this run so bad? This is also like the worst implementation of temporal AI I have ever seen in a modern game.
Fun fact, apparently on PC they used the wrong version, because this is really fucking nerdy shit. But there are multiple different tunings of DLSS to use on PC. People have modded to change what tuning it uses so that way that thing aggro posted a clip of the leaves melting stops. So they didn't even ship it with the right version of DLSS on PC to prevent it from looking like it's fucking melting.
Like everything looks like it's melting. Like it starts to rain at the opening of the game, and it's like this just looks wrong. And if anybody's like, well, it's like Silent Hill, it's dreamy. It's like, no, shut the fuck up. Shut up. No artist had anything to do with this dumbass. It was a graphics engineer shitting all over what the artist actually did.
Motherfuckers sitting there, their TV catches on fire. They're like, I too have joined James in hell.
And this is an unbelievably minor thing, but it fucking pissed me off. So I said, hey, why can the enemy with no mouth or arms put me in a grapple state?
What?
Because it can like lunge at you, and then you're in the mash X to push it away QT, and I'm like, it has no limbs.
It's attacking
it has no
you
limbs.
with
it has
QTE.
No mouth.
It's attacked you with the bugs QTEs happen within.
Yeah, it's like sucked me into the 50 Cent dimension.
Yeah, it's gonna keto your ass.
No limbs and no mouth?
I mean, it's like sewed shut. It's not biting me. It's just like going ooh in my face.
Like the first enemy you run into?
Yeah, the first enemy.
I mean, they spit bile. They've got to come out of somewhere.
Hey, James, step backwards. They're not actually grabbing you.
James isn't good at de-escalating.
James isn't good at much of fucking anything.
No, he isn't. That's why it's funny.
There was honestly a moment after watching him just... God, whenever the camera looks at him interact with an NPC and he just has no thought behind that face, I just think... You know, I don't, because I honestly, I have this superpower where someone can explain to me in meticulous detail a video game that I have not played, and I will brain dump it immediately. So I know that there's some kind of weird mind prison shit going on in this game. I don't actually know the details of it. So I start thinking, okay, so what if, you know, like what we're seeing isn't actually what's happening, and James Sunderland is lost in a Kmart. And his wife is trying to find him, but he keeps wandering around different departments. And now
hitting
he's in a meat cooler.
He's in the meat.
There's lots of little things where it's like Bloober Team never made an action game before, and it shows.
Yeah.
Or this is one that like genuinely pissed me off. Like it breaks all rules of survival horror. So there's a part where you walk into a room and there's a lot of like corpses, like enemy corpses. So of course you're like, well, it's the standard survival horror thing where they'll activate when you do something.
Right.
So I go around and I stomp on all of them and they don't get up, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess none of these are gonna get up. Then I do something and I watch one of them get right up, and I'm like, motherfucker, that's not how this works.
I swear to you.
You have broken the social contract.
I swear to you, Resident Evil 2 does that once. I know I played a Resident Evil where there is a zombie that's hard-coded to just not care because they needed to do a cutscene and activate when you do a thing. Drives me nuts. Because, yeah, no, that should work. You should be able to stomp them out ahead of time if you know they're the threat.
There's also like funny things that purely are because this game is more technologically advanced. Like in Silent Hill 2, you have the radio that plays static when an enemy is near you.
Yeah.
Except in the remake, sometimes it's a little bit dicey. Sometimes I don't think they really understood how that was supposed to work. But in that, like, it's clearly hard coded to be proximity to you. So in this, it can activate through walls and doors.
Okay.
Which, of course, it couldn't do in the original because they were different loading zones.
Right.
So it's really funny for it to kick on and be like, I guess there's an enemy on the other side of this door. And then James just walks into the door and I'm like, oh, this door doesn't open.
Yep, they're in a different segment and can't get to me yet.
But yeah, like, not a whole lot to say.
Even worse than that, they're a floor above you. They're in the hallway directly. Oh, that would drive me fucking insane.
Maybe that but yeah, like,
drive me nuts.
Like there's not a whole lot to say. Like I feel like the harshest I'll be, this is just a premonition, the harshest I'll be when I beat this is like Yeah, they sure ruined that game by making it 3 times longer for no reason.
In my head, I like to imagine, because it's almost a reverse of what happened with Resident Evil 3, right? Resident Evil 3's remake, they needed to chop out segments in order to make it smaller, leaner, get it shipped on time, etc., whatever.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a reverse of that, where they made all the original shit that was there, and then they were like, well, what if mechanically, level design-wise, we could stick more here? And I want to imagine there is a fan, theoretically, of Silent Hill 2 who's played the original a deranged amount of times, isn't offended by the notion of the Silent Hill 2 remake, enjoys playing it, and then this is for them. But
at the same time, all the gameplay's different, so...
Yeah, but
I feel like that deranged fan would be...
Go ahead.
Would be, like, put off by that. Like, I feel like a deranged fan of Silent Hill 2 is completely in love with the melee of Silent Hill 2, and the melee in this game is just worse. Like, it isn't as effective and doesn't work as well. Because they want it to be more frantic.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to press circle to have James do his fucking Dark Souls roll.
Yeah, it does end up to where when like, oh, you're in melee combat with a monster in a narrow hallway, and now it's just goofy because I'm waiting for it to attack so I can dodge and then run at it and hit it twice and then dodge away again. Like, oh, every one of these enemies has the same attack pattern, and I gotta dodge past it and then turn the camera and swing in a wild direction because, oh, whoops, that magnet shit didn't activate this time.
And like, this is a minor, again, this is just, like, you probably wouldn't even really perceive this if you never played the original, or maybe you would in this specific case. Minor spoilers for Dan. James looks aghast as he sticks his hand down something he shouldn't stick it in, like 4 times in those apartment buildings now because of the increase of the shit in it. Like, that happens like once, I think, in the base game, but in this it happens like 4 different times, so you get this cutscene of him making the saddest face in the world as he shoves his arm in the goo hole to get, like, a fucking fragment. They turned this game into Banjo-Tooie.
I was so sure that was part of, like, the weird PS1 charm of we built this animation and we're going to use it like 4 times.
No, in the original version, you see like one cutscene of that maybe, and then the rest of the times you just have to read the text that is his internal state as he does this, where he's just like, "This is vile. This is disgusting." Even he draws lines where he's like, "I'm not doing that."
I think in Silent Hill 3, if you have a Silent Hill 2 save on your PS2 memory card,
which sadly we didn't.
I believe the main character, who is a teenage girl named Heather Mason, you can try to get her to shove her hand into the thing, and she like says, "No, why would I do that?" And then she says something like, "Who would do that?" And then looks at the camera.
Yeah. No, it's
the
really
weird thing
good.
is, like, there's multiple points in this game, and I don't know if this is how the original was. And they're recreating it, or if this is like everyone already understands this, so we're just going to do it and we missed some setup or context. Most of the time, James shoves his hand in something or like breaks into a business. There's no call for it. There's no establishing shot of, oh, I think something's down there. He didn't find a note that says, look for the thing in this. You walk into the room and there's a button prompt, so just up to the shoulder.
I gotta ask, you just said breaks into a business. I don't even remember that happening once in the original. Like, how is he breaking in? Like,
so, okay, as soon as the game starts and like you're walking towards Silent Hill, you encounter a gate. So you turn left and there's like an auto garage. So you go around, hop through a window, steal their key, and then unlock it and walk out. I'm like, James,
that's the very first new thing.
We didn't start the "you're in a life or death situation" section. This is not how adults act.
So like I understand, like, obviously, why can't video game character get over barrier that would be fully surmountable for a normal person?
Oh God,
it's
so extreme.
Normal, even a deeply inebriated person, right? Like, this is a call of action that a child
in this
could
remake,
mount.
James is repeatedly stymied by such things as 2 plastic milk crates on the ground. They're not stacked; they're just loosely placed side by side. A child could easily step over them. And he's like, no.
Someone in chat saying just normal suburban inhabitant behavior. I'm willing to side with them that James actually does line up with that mentality.
Here is a really fucking bizarre thing they completely added. At least I think they completely added it, because my memory on this kind of shit is bad. So Dan can correct me if they don't. Where James just it's an entire gameplay mechanic where James has to pound his way through a wall.
Yeah, yes, I was just gonna ask about this.
What?
Like you see like a section of wall that's like all cracked and has slime coming out of it or something. So James just beats on it with this length, the 2x4, until the concrete. It's supposed to be plaster, but it's looks like concrete because they don't understand how fucking building.
Yeah, that's got to be new. That's got to be new. I don't.
And
did
you
that
would
happen
remember
in a
because
cutscene in the original once or something.
Maybe, but you do it like every 10 minutes in this one.
I figured it had to be added because one, after you make that hole, you're usually doing a squeeze through animation through it. And two, this motherfucker's knocking down walls with a piece of 2x4 in I can't get through this locked door, the game.
Yeah, he's fucking beating down this concrete fucking wall that's slightly damaged. With a fucking board with nails in it. Spoilers, you wouldn't be able to do that. As someone who has torn concrete floors out of garages, it takes a little bit more than a 2x4.
That's
ding.
Yeah.
I gotta say, as someone who never played the original, I did start getting the feeling early on because the feel of this game is so like blandly modern video game that there's a lot of great stuff in here that I feel like all of the really great stuff is just the structure that's lifted from the original. And especially because of the melee and how overwrought some of the padding is, like you're in woodside apartments and like, oh, everything in this town is aggressively dilapidated, and then you go through the red door and everything is super duper dilapidated, and then I finished a puzzle and there was an ominous noise and everything's even more dilapidated.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be one of those situations where it's going to be like, yeah, this was more or less fine, but every single thing that's good about it was just from the original, and every single thing that was middling to bad about it was something they did. Props to them for putting the entire staff of the original Silent Hill 2 in the credits. That needs to start becoming standard.
God, Jesus. Every time that doesn't happen, I get furious. Thank you for at least letting me know, because the last thing I want at the end of a giant stream of this game is for me to be mad about that again.
Aggro, tell me when you finish this, because I'll hook you up with the enhanced PC version that is really easy to install and just is the best version to play that game.
Ooh. Yeah,
but
no,
yeah,
if it's like 3 times shorter than this, yeah, that sounds like something I'd like to do.
It's like 6 hours long. Allegedly, I don't know. I haven't seen them. This is just what I heard. Allegedly, this version has new endings. To which I respond, you made it 3 times longer. Like, the point of Silent Hill 2 having so many endings was that it was short, and it would be even shorter if you knew the route. But so you made and knowing the route would not make this version of the game much shorter. Like, it's very much like the Resident Evil remakes in that way.
2 things that I think of with this information. One, I wonder if there are any palpable improvements to playthrough time from a New Game Plus. Like, are you walking in with something absurd? 2, and more importantly, I know for a fact at least one of the added endings that would not be relevant for. One of the added endings you would not need to play all the way to the end of the game.
Okay, so they added like a gag ending.
Yes, they added a gag ending.
Somebody said there is like a super weapon you can get in New Game Plus, which is pretty common. In these, they tend to have that kind of thing.
Like,
that's fine.
That to me feels like the essence of New Game Plus. Like, you need to do that.
Especially since Melee takes like 10 times longer in this game.
That's the last thing I want to hear.
because enemies take a lot more hits, and like you're doing the dodging back and forth.
Should I just set the combat difficulty to low? Because
no, they fucking dump ammo on you, Dan. You're barely supposed to use melee. You're supposed to shoot motherfuckers.
By the end of Silent Hill 3, Bob and I were like, we should have just left combat difficulty on low on that. Like, so the thought that they made combat take this much longer when that wasn't my core appeal to begin with.
Yeah, and they do that fucking the Last of Us shit where it's like melee combat has lots of radiance to it. So like this enemy might take 4 hits to kill, or they might take 8. Learn to identify their animations, because sometimes they'll immediately counterattack when you hit them, and it's like, no, the thing that I liked about Silent Hill 2's melee is I knew exactly how many bonks before they fell down, and then I would lightly step on their neck and they would die instantly.
And it would play an over-the-top sound effect, which I enjoy immensely.
But I don't really care that they made the melee worse, because again, they do just give you a lot more ammo, like shitloads more. So just fucking shoot them. Or shoot them and then shoot them twice and then hit them with the melee once or twice and they drop dead. So it's not a big deal. Although I really fucking hate those leg enemies now. They weren't nearly as bad in the original. I fucking despise them now.
Yeah, they're really cool when you see them in the distance, like move across a doorway, because you know they're just going somewhere to hide and stand really still. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of creepy. And then you're fighting them and like, oh, cue the clown music.
Did enemies explode in the original, Dan?
Describe the explosion.
You kill them and then they explode. You kill them and they fall down and go, and explode.
Yeah, like goo everywhere.
Oh, are they like hitting the ground and then like or something?
They hit the ground like they're dead, and then they do like a thrash animation and burst, and then they're dead.
I'm trying to think. I think there was a part in 3 where they wanted to dump so many enemies in the room that they did an animation to sort of like get rid of the model. I think that happened in 3, but I don't remember 2 doing that, like, at all, as I'm recalling. Just so I don't escape this podcast without making this point, Jacob's Ladder, like, the shift between what seems like a normal city and, you know, the dilapidated, gross thing Aggro was talking about earlier, and even more specifically, in a hospital, seems like a core inspiration for Silent Hill, the franchise, not even just 2. I just wanted to get that out there before people were like, Dan didn't even mention. Because we hit the scenes where that really started happening in Jacob's Ladder, and I cracked up so much. I was like, this rules, man. We got the super fast forward thrashing head, like people with the restriction jackets on. Strapped into a chair, missing half their body. We've got these gross hallways with like limbs everywhere, blooded up, dirted up. It's real good. It's real good. I'm not going to say that movie's amazing, but it is 100% worth watching if you played a Silent Hill ever. But that's it. That's all I wanted to say about that. So Aggro, I find your perspective right now the most interesting just because you literally haven't played the original at all. As you were just saying, you think a lot of the stuff was inherited by the original, right? The structure and, of course, all the plot stuff. Do you think coming into this that these two ends of it seem at odds with each other to a reductive or negative effect, or does it just seem like two different cloths that have been sewn together?
It's a little weird doing the puzzles in it because my brain went, this is a PS1 puzzle, flat out. And it was kind of weird to do that while I was like Naughty Dog meleeing with a stick.
Yeah.
And there's an interesting thing happening because I know that if I, when this game came out, had put it into my PlayStation 1 and turned it on, I would have pissed and shit myself and cried to death. I would have expired in my bedroom from fear. And this game, when it's not just leaning on, look at all of the paint peeling, like there are some moments in this game where like this atmosphere is genuinely chilling. Like this was a good setup. That was a cool thing you did with the lights. Maybe stop playing that sound effect of a woman gasping only in my right headphone cup. It's cheap horse shit and it doesn't mean anything, and you're just desensitizing me to the actual amazing sound work you did for this game.
Yeah.
And the other half of it, when it's not like, oh, this is really spooky, this is some clown shoe shit. Please stop making me run through this hallway 4 times and then putting one of those legs on both ends enemies over there again because I'm tired of fighting them. They're dumb.
Yeah, if anything.
Like I want to make it very clear. This is a problem when you're talking about a video game that you're playing. I'm doing a lot of complaining about things that are in it. I'm actually having a great time because despite some of the visual problems this game has, and the melee being a little wonky, it's just so goddamn weird that it can't be anything but fun.
Like this entire game would lose all of its appeal if James Sunderland wasn't James Sunderland traveling through Silent Hill. That like even one piece of that changing would drastically ruin it. Speaking of which, there are mods on PC to remove all the fog and make Silent Hill sunny. Have you seen this?
I have seen a couple images of that. Yeah,
really was tempted to get the PC version because of that.
God, James Sunderland is so wonderful. He's like you ever met a dog and you look at it and you think that is not a smart dog.
Yes, yeah, no, that's
like he keeps trying to explain to NPCs, I'm looking for my wife who's dead. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm not crazy.
The man is rolling ones for intelligence checks and charisma checks nonstop. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to ask. I'm thanking God no one mentioned a crafting system for ammo or pieces of things.
God.
That's not in this, right?
No.
Okay, thank God.
No, that's like part of the reason why this is so fucking strange, because like they didn't add like any of the, it's like this weird intermediary step between a Resident Evil remake and the Kiwami type remake where they just updated the visuals and maybe the gameplay and kept everything else 1-to-1. Like they didn't add ammo crafting, they didn't add any kind of character progression, they didn't add in, he doesn't mutter to himself. Like all these are good things, obviously, but then they still made it 3 times longer, and it's like we're getting to less and less meat in this dish the further in I get.
My number one regret, because as I said, I watched a bunch of movies this week in order to prepare for journeying into Silent Hill 2. My number one regret is that we did not get voted into doing a Silent Hill month, because that was on the vote. Because I know people who are pointing out things in this that are literally in Homecoming. Because, yeah. And that would have been absolutely delightful to connect those dots firsthand, to see that and go, oh, this is kind of like when they tried this again. Like, it's literally they're doing gameplay stuff that also came to similar conclusions from the sounds of it. And that sounds delightful, and I would love to know firsthand. I would love to see that and experience and know that. But I haven't played Homecoming. In fact, I've only played Silent Hill 2 twice and Silent Hill 3 once, and that's it. I haven't played... Well, I played for 1, but like for a couple hours. And I played the demo for 4. And right now, my most interest is in 4, because I need to know if that man is possibly even dumber than James Sunderland, because it takes a very specific mentality to crawl through an evil, oozing, gooey hole in your apartment wall. It takes a very specific level of operating mentally to do that. I do just, as I think about this game that is in many ways seemingly slavish to the original work, but then just is building these things on top of it and adding more into it. If Resident Evil 3 fans would have preferred that, just because I know that's a game I enjoyed as someone who does not have an experience playing through all of the original Resident Evil 3. And basically everyone who's disappointed in the 3 is such because it was cut down. I'm not looking forward to the TA. Jesus Christ, I really wish this game shipped after the PS5 Pro. This is probably, if not this, then Dragon Age Veilguard, maybe the number one example of why maybe you need a hardware temporal AA solution for third parties, because not everyone's Sony. Not everyone.
Again, guys, you don't look good enough for this to be for you to need. I don't see why this couldn't be a PS4 game other than maybe under the hood there's all these dog shit UE5 features.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm curious what I'll think. Because at the end of the day, I'm of the opinion, now especially, after we started seeing what a 30 frames per second game, from the ground up, means for the PS5, I'm under the impression that nothing should ever strive away from, from your high 50, 60 frames per second goal, right?
I turned this to quality mode a couple times. This is unplayable.
I'm gonna do that on stream.
Have you ever played a Fight Night game and you eat a haymaker and everything fucking blurs for a little while until you recover? That's what quality mode in this is like.
That's what your frame of reference is for the mental injury thing you keep talking about.
Yeah, that's why I keep describing these quality modes as being like a head injury. It's genuinely nauseating. If an only 30 FPS game ships, I literally will not be able to play it. This is not just a game feel thing. Because again, 30 FPS on PS4 could be better, but I could choke, I could swallow it, I could endure it. But this is I actually cannot.
Mm-hmm.
It is a little jarring every time you get to a flag section and it fades to black or it fades to white and fades back into the 30 FPS cutscene. It's like tapping the brakes in your car.
Yeah, especially since how that's going to affect temporal AA. I find that actually is the number one thing that annoys me about seeing cutscenes at 30 nowadays is, for people who don't know, temporal AA is you rendering the game at a lower resolution. You're constantly changing which pixels you're rendering. You're doing sub-pixels, basically, the whole time, and you're denoising the entire game. When you do that at 30 frames per second, you're going to have more image artifacts, more obvious image artifacts than you will ever have at 60. That's just how it works. They made the resolution of a game temporal. Good job, everyone. So that's the number one thing that bugs me about that nowadays. It's not even the smoothness of the frame rate anymore. It's just, even though the rest of this game runs at 60 and the temporal AA is barely swallowable there, the cutscene started at, oh boy. I'm worried I'm worried the PS5 Pro version of this will also suck. That they will not lock 60 on anything, that they'll do, because on PC you can crank the graphics way higher than the quality mode on PS5. There's just full ray tracing. You look at the puddle and you see every branch of the tree. It was all worth it. And I see people in chat saying that apparently a lot of the stutters on PC are proven to be based on Lumen, or Lumen caused them. I haven't looked into that, but I would like to say, wow, that's very exciting for the future of Halo. Please look forward to our new segment. Did anyone have anything else they wanted to say about our boy James Sunderland?
Okay, this is just one element to the James Sutherland is a brain dead psychopath thing. So in this game, they added the ability to break glass. You can break a window, you can hop through the window, you can break a window and reach through and grab things if you can't hop through. You can do it to cars also. Unless, and you could even do this to TVs, James can walk up to a CRT and go, and just smash the fucking TV for no reason. You will not get anything from doing this, but you can. Unless it's an exterior window in a building and would show you the area outside, then James suddenly isn't fucking motivated to break this window.
Yeah, I actually saw, related, but also not. I saw, what was it, the Digital Foundry video. I saw a clip from it where he's indoors, and the room he's in, the store he's in, is very dark. And so his window is darkened because the room is dark, but outside it's bright. And he starts projecting his silhouette of brightness on the entire window of the door. That was one of the weirdest visual glitches I've seen in a video game recently.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. Walking outside, like there are a lot of puddles on the ground, and all of them look like shit.
We did a great job. We did it. We turned the entire movie industry into slop, and then we made every video game, no matter how long it takes to make, look like shit. Good job, everyone. We did this for a reason, right?
Yeah, it made the numbers go up.
This is aggro. This is the gaming industry. No, it didn't.
No, not those numbers.
Different numbers.
Other more esoteric numbers.
Secret numbers. We're having a secret numbers war with the other gaming companies, and we're winning it right now.
So I'm pretty sure this is a thing that only happened in my head. But in video games, you have a gun and you pick up ammunition from the environment. That's a thing. It's normal. But usually there's a reason for there to be boxes of 9mm in places, like you're in a war zone or it's the post-apocalypse. For some reason, and I think it's the existence of the American Cafe, the Cafe Texan, and Happy Burger. This feels like a jab at American gun culture. Every time I find another box of 9mm, it's just like they're just all over this town. Like, yeah, this is what America's like. Just go into somebody's kitchen and there's their health drink in the upper cabinet, and you open a drawer and there's a box of ammo.
Well, I assume that was only magnified by them having seen Twin Peaks and watching the overseas investors come to the lodge and stuff and their view on what America is. I'm just like, oh, yeah. No. Even they admitted it. Yeah, there's just gun ammo everywhere. Americans are just fucking crazy, and even they admit it.
When you get to the hospital and you go in the office and is that a shotgun cabinet? Why is there one of those in here?
That's troubling. I think that was in the original, but now I'm not sure.
I mean, the characters remarked on it. I'm assuming it was.
Okay. Or is anyone... Aggro, you just said you were playing this in headphones, right? Because it's pumping the moaning or gasp into your right ear.
Apparently, it does a lot of cool shit with the controller speaker, which I'm always a huge fan of, but I need to be able to hear where there's four-leg fuckers are spatially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I'll probably be on headphones, too. I don't know. Any other comments, Chris?
No, not really.
We're going to have to come up for a new word for spoiler cast, because how do you spoil a game that's been out for 23 years? Anyways, I
think that's typically called a review.
What?
Or maybe a round table.
I thought Red Letter Media, they copyrighted the word review for their videos.
No. See, we use an equal sign.
Oh, there we go. My brain's making the 80s movie production logo, the movie studio production logo, where it's at first the equal sign's a bullet, and then the front and back disappeared, and it lands in the middle, and it fades in the text. And we go out of business after shipping RoboCop. Okay. Well, I guess we'll move on. I've been playing UFO 50. Audience, you tell me whether or not I talked about Magic Garden last week. Instead, I'll lead with a game called Pilot Quest. Aggro.
Uh-huh.
UFO 50, as you may or may not know, is 50 different video games.
Right.
One of them is a hybrid between an idle game that's sort of like Animal Crossing, but also half of it is Zelda. So imagine you've got a base where you're building resources and you're growing plants, and then you're building gold bars, and that's to do research or build houses or build silos. And this is all in service of you getting enough resources to journey out into the Zelda map, which is randomly generated per run, not run per file. Let's put it that way.
Per file, okay. Because I was like, no, it fucking isn't.
Per file, which became I beat this twice. I've beaten this twice now because you can keep looping it. Yeah, I'm a freak.
See, I kind of got lucky. Because whatever it did, it gave me like a major boss perfectly in like a situation where I could cheese him through a wall.
Oh yeah, that honestly, if I'm remembering correctly, yeah, that is the case every time. I know exactly who you're talking about. You're talking about the dude who's just straight north from you.
Yes.
Yeah, that is, as far as I know, on these first two runs, because I haven't started playing my third run yet. That is always the case. It's where are the dungeons, where are the items, where are the people is going to be different every time. So you got like a fetch quest, you've got discoverable items on the map in order to make research go faster or whatever. It's a really interesting and super fun game. This is possibly my favorite game in UFO 50 so far. Thus why I've beaten it twice.
Okay, I need to clear something up. When you say this is an idle game, do you mean idle as in you can automate certain parts of the gameplay, or it is themed after Japanese pop singers?
First one.
Okay.
I love language.
Yeah, I was sitting here like, can I audibly differentiate that vowel enough in my dialect of English? No, I cannot.
Idol versus idler. Yeah, no, it's really enjoyable. It's nice to have this fusion. So I actually did a ton of work around the house and stuff because, you know, we took Friday off from streaming. So I got a little bit extra time to sort of get my shit together, a thing that I basically couldn't do all of Sonic Month. And so I'd do the Zelda run. It'd be great. Your runs are limited by how much meat you have because the meat dictates how much literal time you have on the Zelda run. And when you get hit, you don't lose life, you lose time. And if you want to cash in all of the things you find, the resources, the items, etc., you need to leave the Zelda run. You have to walk back out the way you came in. So it has multiple interesting ways to do that, such as like unlocking teleporters and doing other things like that. And the fact its structure is unique per file is really interesting. Because sometimes you'll just get handed a temple right next to you, and other times you'll get handed a secret guy in a cave who gives you 2 treasures every run. Or you'll just have the guy who's like, hey, I'm waiting for that thing for the fetch quest, and you go, cool, I'm not going to be at that part anytime soon, but I'm happy for you. The neatest thing about this game, Pilot Quest, for people who missed it, or I'm pretty sure I said that at the beginning of the segment. Anyways, the neatest thing about this game is our main character, instead of using a sword, he uses a yo-yo like he's Mike Jones from Star Tropics. I did not expect a game with overworld art that reminds me of Chrysalis and an attack system that's reminding me of Star Tropics to be in UFO 50, but here it is. And it's really good. It's also got really good music. So I beat that. I, in fact, got the extra thing, and that's as specific as I'll get with that. And I got the gold cartridge. The other 2 games I did that for, I believe it's, what is it? Do I still have this list up? Nimpec, which is the action side-scroller ninja game. Chris, did you play that one?
I must have played it for a little bit, probably not that long.
Yeah, I gold carded it just because it wasn't that hard, and I got pretty far on early runs. But I didn't do anything other than that. I just beat it, and that was fun. Magic Garden was one of my favorite games, but also it's one where I swear to God, it just operates incorrectly, where the hit detection... Okay, so this game is what you would call in the arcade days like a maze game. So Pac-Man, Dig Dug, Mr. Do, whatever. That sort of thing. Something like that. In it is also kind of Rattler aggro. You go as a purple magical girl around this magic garden to pick up pink slimes, and as you do, they trail longer and longer behind you. If you run into it, you die. If you run into blue enemy blobs, you die. The goal is to drop off 200 pink slimes in these zones that'll keep changing their position all over the playfield. But the scoring mechanic goes a completely different way, because you see, if you dump in enough of these slimes at a single time, or you hit a certain count, it will tell you how many more you need to hit. It'll spawn a potion, and the potion is basically a Pac-Man magic pellet. You know, it's the pill, so you can eat the ghost. And you can keep spawning those. Those keep staying on the field, and in fact, they ferment to get stronger and better. And when you stack them, the score multiplier keeps going up. So this game pulled me in two completely different directions immediately, and I couldn't choose if I wanted to beat the game or to get a really high score. And eventually I beat the game. But when it comes to the game feel and like hit detection end of it, it does some really quirky stuff. It's kind of like, you know how a Blue Sphere lets you move on specific nodes? You know, it's basically tile-based movement where you move forward, and then if you're holding right, you will turn. This feels like someone didn't understand the importance of that in a game feel sense. So you can literally be standing almost dead center in a tile, have a pink slime underneath you, jump, and it'll go, you didn't get it. Like, that pink slime's still back there. You can also have other things where you grab the potion and you run into an enemy and destroy them, and then like, you'll be in this square and they'll be in an adjacent square. It will count you as destroying them, and then since you're holding down while it's doing that, you will, the next frame, be facing down and heading down. Like, it will count you extra outside of. So, like, there's a bunch of small things like that game feel-wise where I'm just like, this isn't how this felt ever. Like, they didn't program it like this back then, and there are reasons for that, and I wish it was better. But that is like, that was before Pilot Quest, my favorite game, I think. UFO 50 continues to be a threat in a year where, what is it, 100-hour Atlas RPG or something is coming out.
Thereabout.
Tomorrow? Is that right? Is it really coming out tomorrow? Is that
God
metaphor
Yeah.
That comes out tomorrow.
Okay. What a year.
Man, I'd have finished original Silent Hill 2 by now.
Yeah, you would have.
Yeah. So I just have to beat these 50 video games, and then I can move on to my 100-hour RPG to hopefully get done in the next 3 weeks for the other RPG, Romancing Saga 2. And somewhere in this Silent Hill 2 remake, I guess, is supposed to happen. That's fine. Oh, and then at the same day, 3 weeks from now, Dragon Age Veilguard comes out. It's okay, though. November slows down, right? We don't have Mario and Luigi Brothership. UFO 50, beating UFO 50 counts as beating 50 video games. For Game of the Year, though, we decided it's one video game.
Yes.
Which means all the praises you can give it and all the things you could condemn it for all 50 games coexist in an absolute nightmare vortex. Yeah, and Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D and East 10 is in 2 weeks! Do people actual care about Veilguard? I like actual care. I wish that was hyphenated. We need to normalize that. Do you actual care about this? I'm super excited for Veilguard. I've never played a Dragon Age in my life. I get to be what aggro is to the Silent Hill 2 conversation, but for Dragon Age Veilguard. What is there something dishonest about this comparison point? Is there a problem here?
Like, I think mine's more interesting and yours is more tragic.
Man, it's gonna be so funny that we've talked so much about Dragon Age Veilguard doing content on it, and then we're gonna find out, yeah, that thing's totally, completely, utterly fucked. It barely works, and we'll have to be like,
sorry guys, we're not losing. Let me do the math. It's $280, so everyone on the podcast can play this game. Because it's not done.
It's not fucking done.
Y'all let us do a Days Gone spoiler cast years after the fact. Who's to say Dragon Age Veilguard isn't just as valid?
Yeah, and if it comes out like that, there'll be a perfectly good time to do that spoiler cast after they announce they're shutting down BioWare. If this game doesn't do good, it's over. Like, it is over.
Modern video games, man. We barely get games, and anytime they come out, we have to go, okay, are they going to shut down the whole studio the second it ships because it's not done at all?
I'm hoping that when even fucking Ubisoft is like, we need to stop doing this. It's actually killing our sales.
Yeah.
I'm hoping other companies in the industry figure it out, although it's too late for Dragon Age. That shit would have had to be delayed 4 weeks ago.
Listener, I go to the Walmart. I got a Walmart. It's kind of close to me. It's nice. It's convenient. And I'm like, I'm rushing because they close in like 30 minutes. And I can count on my hand the number of times I've been at a store as they're closing, a single hand, for the last 2 decades.
Yeah, I'd rather kill myself than be the reason they couldn't close.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not great. It's not a great feeling. It did happen once at Costco because our Costco closes insanely early. It's like 6 p.m. or something on a day that I thought would have been a normal Costco day, Sunday.
If it's 6, it's a little different if it's 6 p.m. with everywhere else. It's like, it's 11. Go home.
Right. So I'm at Walmart. I'm rushing to this end because allegedly, I later found out it's a lie, my cast iron griddle that Spiff bought for me, so that way I can begin the Burger Dan arc, because this is immensely important to him. Like, you have no idea. That was supposed to show up today, so I'm going to this end of Walmart to get a burger press, and that end of Walmart to get some crema, because I ran out for quesadillas and other things, my egg cups. And I run to electronics, and they have no copies of Silent Hill 2. They sold out of all of them. They have so many copies of Star Wars Outlaws.
Oh yeah, when I picked mine up at Target. I was there when they opened because I had to go to Home Depot for some work supplies, and Home Depot opens at 6 a.m. So I just bought my shit at Home Depot and then went to wait for Target to open because it was like 7:50 when I got there. So as they were getting my copy of Silent Hill 2, because it wasn't even out yet, like it wasn't even out on the floor yet, I look at what games they carry physically. Stuff. Skull and Bones and Outlaws. Stuffed to the fucking brim. They clearly hadn't sold a single copy of either of those.
Part of me thinks that Ubisoft's statement about a commitment to making the game good so it can sell through the holiday season has a lot to do with their retail partners worldwide being fucking pissed. Because Skull and Bones was bad enough for them. You did that twice in 1 year. You can't be doing that. Like, that looks really bad. At some point, they're going to find a way to just give Ubisoft its own section like Xbox. They're going to give it the heading and then put nothing in it. Man. I hope they can improve that game. I feel like, based on what people were saying about Outlaws, it feels like there's no quick and easy fix. It feels like you have to fix a ton of stuff about the game, and even then, who knows, right? I have no fucking idea if that's going to work out, but yeah, if Dragon Age Veilguard is an absolute dumpster fire, we should just maybe skip it, because a lot of people like to think we're a lot better off than we are. Wasting $280 on buying what is nowhere near a complete game is beyond gross.
Yeah, like I was I was absolutely not going to get Silent Hill 2 Remake if we weren't going to talk about it at some point. And
And
when,
I
when
would
I'm
have waited
finished,
in-
I will almost certainly just take it to GameStop and use that Torward's Veilguard.
Yeah, and for me, like, there's no way I would have played it this month. I would have just waited until next month after the Pro was out, and it cost less, presumably. Or Black Friday, when it will undoubtedly cost less.
Do you think the PS5 Pro is going to sell so badly, is selling so badly, that by Black Friday they'll be like 700 and it comes with a disk drive?
I think that's too
Soon?
but maybe.
But what if it's like it's 0? Because it might be.
I don't think any number would induce them to now pack in a disk drive.
Right, to wake
No, they wouldn't
up,
pack
you
it
know?
in. They wouldn't pack it in. It would be like, well, if you buy it, we'll also include a disk, the packed separately disk drive.
I don't know. I don't know that they're that agile, right? If they're that adaptive. PS3 era Sony got it. You know, that's the reason the price on the console was cut insanely within 6 months.
I don't know. These companies tend to be pretty reactive when hardware comes in really soft. Like, even Nintendo took the knee on the 3DS almost immediately. It was insane. It was so fast, they basically sucked your dick if you bought a 3DS at launch.
Yeah, I think it was 4 months after launch is when they announced the price cut and ambassador
It was
program.
like a $75 price cut.
It was, yeah.
Jesus, they cut
or
its price
80.
by more than 25% less than 6 months after launch. Can you imagine that happening now? Or no matter how bad it went?
I literally made an episode of the Rant Is Go about this in Aggro Proof Reddit. I remember because one of his questions in him reading the script was, okay, so explain to me where the frustration comes from. And I'm like, well, when you buy a console at launch, you don't expect its value to go down by this large a percentage, the largest that had happened ever, basically. That close. Because even the PS2 took a year and then it chopped off 33%. This, I believe, was $80 off of it because it was $250 at launch, I think, and $170 afterwards. And then it was 4 months later. Like, it just felt like the absolute, they tried to get away with it and couldn't. Oops, they engineered an overpriced piece of crap. And then they did it again with the Wii U. It was just too late to correct course, I guess. You couldn't learn lessons from one of these and apply it to the other. It's not possible. Anyway, UFO 50 is neat. We're going to go ahead and move on, even though that is what we've been talking about in a while. Aside from that, yeah, I already said I've been doing stuff around my house, built furniture, put stuff on furniture so it looks a lot nicer, packing things up to get shipped, cleaning, watching those movies, which the real tragedy isn't that Bob's sick. The real tragedy is that we were going to watch the movie They Live finally the day he got sick.
Oh,
We've been waiting years. We're like, we got to do that. We got to do that. We finally made firm plans to do it. And the day he's like, I think I'm coming down with something. I'm like, God damn it, man. Come on. Aside from that, so Spiff coerced me into putting a Creamy up on the Throne. Throne is a website where you can buy things for streamers and other content creators, blah, 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 yakety schmackety. He convinced me to finally do that, and a deranged fan did it within 5 minutes by themselves. Absolutely insane behavior. I was earlier that week just like, you know what? We're just not even going to do this. I'm not going to do this. But he talked me into it. So I sat there, that arrived, and for people who don't know what a Creamy is, it is a Ninja product that, in fact, no, it was not Spiff. I have the receipts. It was someone else who bought it. Anyway, so there's a canister, right? You fill it with the thing to make the ice cream out of, you freeze it, and then you shove it into the Creamy, and it takes a sharp blade and just scrapes it all the way down, making ice cream, sorbet, whatever. I went to make, I bought what I thought was many strawberries. I went to make a strawberry sorbet. You know those pretty big packs of strawberries, 16 ounces? Like, if you've frequented grocery stores and gone to the produce section, you probably know exactly the size and thing I'm talking about, right? It took 2 of those to make one of these. It took 2 of those blended in a blender to become a liquid to fill the single creamy deluxe size canister to make a strawberry sorbet. This thing better taste extraordinary, and still I will never do this again. I'm buying frozen next time, and even then that might be too pricey. I don't know, we'll have to see. I would not make that same mistake again. That you know how many days of overnight oats that could make for that many strawberries? That's insane. My God. So already this was a horrible mistake, and this is all Spiff's fault. Yeah, there you go. Here's the plus. I can have so much vitamin C. I'm going to eat the entire thing, and then just Bob can get near me, and I won't be able to feel a thing. I'll look like an irradiated giant automaton compared to Bob.
Yeah, he's going to be orange.
Yes.
No, you'll be able to heal Bob by shedding vitamin C.
Ooh, is that how that works?
Sure.
Is this like a drink of my blood, Bob? And then I stick my finger in water and it changes colors, and then he can drink that?
This is my blood, which was mega dosed for you.
The other thing, the other recipe I did, because the cool thing about the creamy thing is a lot of the recipes for this are really basic and come out pretty good, allegedly. We'll see. The other one was like, they have a milk at grocery stores called Fairlife. The whole deal with it is less sugar than normal milk. It's a high protein, low sugar sort of thing. They literally are like, yeah, just take the chocolate Fairlife, add a tablespoon or something of Jell-O pudding and some cocoa or something else, stevia, I think. Mix that, blend it. There's your chocolate ice cream. I don't know how that's going to go. I'm rather pessimistic on that one. And still, I notice not the cheapest thing. I think I may have made a mistake here. I think I have a device in my home that constantly begs me to spend money. And it's definitely the creamy and not the PS5. That's the real threat. We'll see. We'll see how good this is. Someone should have brought that up. I agree, Spiff. If only someone was there bringing up the look, at the end of the day, if I can make a burger on a griddle and an ice cream in the creamy, I think it'll still be cheaper and at very least save an immense amount of time from driving all the way across town to go to Cookout. That's the goal. I don't know if that'll actually pan out. I'm starting to get skeptical. We'll have to see.
Hey, if you eat those keto buns with the burger, that knocks like 150 calories off and if you get lean ground beef, that knocks even more. I had a 400 calorie double burger today.
Ooh. Did it have cheese?
Yes, it did. It had
Awesome.
2 slices of cheese even.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Are you doing the smash burger style?
Yeah, I do a smash burger, 4 ounces, split into 2 patties.
Yeah, that's literally what I prepared for today when the griddle was supposed to arrive. I bought the keto buns that are like larger, which wasn't like, I wish it was cheaper, but
yeah, they are expensive. But
yeah, that's if only I could be skinny for cheap. Anyway, those are a little weird. The top of the bun just looks weird. I don't know how to describe it. I haven't eaten it yet because I haven't. But yeah. Anyway, this is enough dumb food talk. Let's move on. Aggro, did you play anything other than Silent Hill?
Not significantly, no.
Chris, did you play anything other than Silent Hill?
yes, I finished Master Detective Archives Rain Code. So,
oh no!
Yeah, this is probably Kazutaka Kodaka's worst game. Like, it's not horrible. There is stuff I like, but it centers all of his weaknesses as a writer. Because there's this, first of all, there's so in Danganronpa, like the arc word is hope, and in Danganronpa 1, like they just like bash that word down into a completely meaningless platitude. So at the climax of that game, characters are just kind of going hope, 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 hope. And this does this with truth from like the beginning. So, and it's it doesn't have fucking anything to say about anything.
Hmm.
And it like because the whole thing is like, oh, you have to expose the truth. There's something bad will happen if you don't expose the truth. We kind of go into that a teensy bit in the very beginning when the Skronko character is explaining the weird metaphysical effect that mysteries have on the world. But we don't go into that at all. Like, there's never an example of it. So it's just a thing that gets said once and is then like left on the floor.
Mm.
And also, I really don't care for the protagonist very much. Like, it's weird when the protagonist of all of Kodaka's games are like some dweeby little twink with an ahoge, that you can have one who is clearly just the worst. Like, he's so... A big problem with this is like, so the gimmick of this game is you investigate enough that that Shinigami can take you into the mystery labyrinth, and then the mystery labyrinth you solve the mystery, and then she reaps the soul of the culprit, which destroys the mystery and also kills the culprit. Like, they just mysteriously drop dead in the real world. And he fucking wrings his hands so much over this. It's so fucking insufferable because it doesn't amount to anything. Like, it doesn't come to anything. And to be perfectly frank, there's only one case where, like, the culprits are sympathetic. So it's just a thing for him to angst over. Meanwhile, in the Danganronpa games, like, the protagonist gets locked in because the whole conceit is there's 16 people, the status quo where if you murder someone and get away with it, you get to go free and everybody else is killed. So there's like this righteous indignation in the main character when he calls the murderer out. Also, nothing in the mystery labyrinth dimension matters. It's a fake metaphysical dimension where nothing is real. It's literally like Persona 5, where it's like, you're not actually confronting the actual killer. You're confronting the metaphysical manifestation of the killer, while the real killer is frozen in time and unaware anything is going on, and quite often not even in the same vicinity as you in the real world. That and the structure of this game just makes the main character out to be a putz. Like, he isn't solving shit because he gets the metaphysical cheater dimension, which leads him directly to the solution. Even though it's framed like he is solving it, he is not. And by extension, the player is not really solving it. Because they're not, like, they're getting so leashed to the solution. Like in the Danganronpa games, you go to the class trial, which is all the surviving characters in a big circle trying to figure out what happened. So it moves through them debating over what happened, and a character will be like, I think this is what happened, and then you can be like, well, I have this evidence that proves that didn't happen, and you can contradict their statement.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a little bit reactive. Like, there's parts where they will counter you.
Yes.
But that can't happen in this because there is no other people.
Oh. Okay.
So it comes off as much more hollow and boring. And it isn't even really, like, visually all that interesting to compensate for it. It's just it was a really strange structure. And again, because of that, like, a lot of the really funny character interactions are in these big debates between all the characters. But there's much fewer characters in this game, and they aren't constantly talking. And they aren't present at all in these segments. So his biggest strength as a writer is almost completely negated by this game. It seems like he really wanted to fixate on just him writing these mysteries you have to solve, these crimes. But he's not that great at that. And what really carried him were the character interactions and stuff around them. But those aren't present, So all that it really sits on are these really convoluted murders that many times didn't need to be remotely as convoluted.
Mm-hmm.
Also, one of the 6 cases in the game is just completely filler. Like, it has nothing to do with anything. It's the shortest one. The character you hang out with, like, has the least impact on that one. It's just really not great, and I don't know why it's even in there. I would have taken it out personally.
This is a real bummer.
Also the big twist, one of the big twists where Kodaka like looks at you and like makes a smirk about how clever he is fucking stupid.
We're playing the spoiler music, don't worry.
They spend I am not going to reveal this twist because I immediately went and put it in the Game of the Year document for dumbest thing in a game. So we have to save it.
Okay.
But it's one of those twists where they immediately have to spend the 20 minutes after they revealed it justifying how it makes sense.
Nice.
Because it does not at all. And then they have to bring up a bunch of contrivances after the fact to justify why this twist totally fucking makes sense.
How full is that nominee list of dumbest thing in a game?
I think it only has 2 things on it right now.
Yeah, there hasn't been enormously stupid things this year.
Like, I think the only thing that was on it when I went and added that was the way Kate Sith goes through Vince in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Yeah, I'm sitting here and I'm trying to think of through the games I've played this year, and I don't think I have any nominees because it's dumbest thing in a game, right? Not just dumbest thing. And so I can't nominate Until Dawn's remake.
No. I'm sure Dragon Age will give us something.
It better. It better wow us with highs and lows.
But like, the ending is also fucking infuriating because, again, I'm not going to spoil it, but they do this thing I hate where it's like, character is doing bad thing because it's the only thing he thinks that can be done, and the moment he agrees to stop, they instantly find a different solution that is not morally questionable at all. Like, literally within like a week. It's like the actual problem was he wasn't willing to try, and then it was instantly fucking solved.
Cool. Also, people are pointing out Suicide Squad came this year. Okay, then we have plenty of things to stick in that category.
Oh yeah, we have to stick in the Flash can instantly kill you except when he can't.
And also the ending plan. Because, oh my God. Also, for people who are unfamiliar, what we do as we head into Game of the Year is we literally look back at the entire release schedule of every game that shipped to make sure we don't miss anything major. Assuming we played it and are interested. Because we can't play everything. As it turns out, even if this is your full-time job, you don't have enough time.
But yeah, I'm pretty disappointed. Like, I was hoping this would be like AI the Somnium Files, where Uchikoshi's previous games, the Zero Escape games, I didn't like nearly as much as AI the Somnium Files. Like, he realized what his strengths were and then wrote a game that fixated on those strengths as a writer. It feels like Kodaka did the opposite. It's also just fucking strange that the end of Danganronpa V3 is like really as strongly as you could possibly write, this is the last one, I don't want to do it anymore, move on. And then he writes, his next game is structurally almost identical.
Yeah.
Like, it has so many of the same parts. I'm like, what did you, like, bro, that last franchise you walked away from suited your strengths as a writer so much better than this. And then that 100-line Defense Academy game seems to just be going right back to having a bunch of characters trapped in a school, so it feels like almost like he gave up.
At least that also has Uchikoshi working on it, right?
That's true.
Yeah, so that should offer an interesting mix. Should.
Yeah, I think they both work together on World's End Club, but I haven't played that yet. It's like it's like a platformer. It was with a narrative. It was on Apple Arcade first. It has art by the Pokemon character artist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It came out on Switch and then PC, and I don't think it came out on anything else. But yeah, like it really did just get bashed down into the absolute like most contrived platitude shit of like just truth. The truth is important. Truth. Because I was really hoping there would be something about mysteries and how like going to find out the truth no matter what can have these other effects on other people.
Mm-hmm.
And can maybe bring to light things that nobody is happier with being brought to light. But the game doesn't go into any of that at all.
So there's like no moral gray. There's no ambiguity. It really is just truth is like a virtue. And it is absolutely unquestionable.
There's kind of a tiny bit at the very end.
Mm.
But even then, it still boils down to, well, you have to reveal the truth eventually. Like it does just go into, well, truth is a completely like an objective moral good.
Mm-hmm.
And like this would be different if the main character and Shinigami were like a stronger duo, because the Vita action game he made, Ultra Despair Girls, it's a Danganronpa spinoff, is centered on two characters. And they have a really good dynamic, and that really carries the game. But also that's like a weird action puzzle game inspired by RE4. Not still mostly a visual novel.
Right.
And again, and the dynamic between the main character Yuma and Shinigami isn't good enough. So yeah, like I'm pretty disappointed in it. Like I really can't recommend it even. Like if you like Danganronpa a lot, I'm not even sure you'll like this.
Damn.
Like the things I like about Danganronpa just were not present.
That sucks.
It also has this really fucking stupid setup. I don't know why. I genuinely do not know why he did this. So in the Danganronpa games, in every chapter, you get free time, which just means you go hang out with other characters and can see their bonding events type things.
Yeah.
That isn't in this game. In this game, you collect collectibles in the overworld, which unlock them from a menu. And they're set, so you can't just be like, well, I want to know what this. You better fucking comb every single scrap of that fucking game, or just go look at a YouTube video.
Right.
And I got some of them. I didn't look at any of them on the stream, not because I didn't want to, because I fucking forgot. Because there wasn't a good moment to do it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in the Danganronpa games, everything stops and it's like, you have to go do bonding events or consciously skip them, which why would you do that?
Right, and that makes it a more organic and natural flowing part of the story you're playing through instead of some weird extras thing.
That happened at an undeterminate point in the story somewhere.
Right.
So, yeah, like that's a boo from me. I certainly hope his next project doesn't involve Uchikoshi, because Uchikoshi was like, yeah, I have a set project separate from AI the Somnium Files. Not set. He implied that he was cooking the third one of those in addition to this 100-line Academy game.
Okay.
So I'm hoping whatever thing
Kodaka
has going on is improved, because this game does remind me of the first Danganronpa in a lot of ways, and that did improve dramatically with 2. So I'm hoping it improves dramatically with this next one. But again, I'm not even sure he should do another Master Detective Archives game, because I feel like the structure of it, like the setup for it doesn't offer as many good character moments, because the gimmick of Master Detective Archives is they're a master detective. They have this weird superpower specifically devoted to it, and they have a really strong personality otherwise. Meanwhile, in Danganronpa games, everybody is a super high school level blank.
Right, yeah.
So like they're the super high school level novelist, and their whole thing is being a literature snob.
Right.
So it just doesn't feel like this offers as good an opportunity for characters. It also means every character has to be hyper competent at the focus of the game, which is solving these mysteries.
Yeah.
So you have an entire...
that's true.
So the main character is by default always going to be the most incompetent person at this. And I think the whole mystery labyrinth aspect of it is just bad. So yeah, that's really all I got to say about that. I'm taking this weekend off from streaming because I did a Sonic month amount of streaming in the previous week.
Disgusting.
I was live Friday and Saturday and Sunday and Monday. I think for over 30 hours total combined. In addition to working a normal job.
Right. That's the real trick that people probably don't absorb.
And I would have done Gal Guardians this weekend, but then I found out that Inti Creates did their favorite trick, which is making a game that should be 5 hours long, 8 to 9 hours long.
That is their favorite trick. I mean, that's value.
So I might be pushing off Gal Guardians until maybe that other game is closer to release. But this week, this October, I do intend to stream Ghost Trick and the original Until Dawn.
Ooh.
I have no idea what either of those games are, so so please look forward to those. That's it. I'm done.
Okay. Tomorrow I'm streaming Silent Hill 2 Remake by myself. I'm gonna be so scared out of my mind, chat. Please come keep me sane. It's a spooky game. I too wonder, what if it got really foggy and my wife was probably dead but also hanging out, and I had a green jacket and I'm pretty lost and I have to shove my entire arm in a toilet. That's scary shit. Podlords.
Oh, fuck.
Fuck.
Yes, that's right. The Podlords. Podlords such as BN12, Red Blaze 27, Suzu Shiro, Rado, 101 Shades of Wonderful Remastered, WTF Spider-Man.
It's crazy to see Xbox is funding Season 9 of Arby and Chief.
Oh, Arbiter. I get it.
DFW 3K. Master Detective Archives Rain Code. What?
Oh, because there's a character who is the villain's right hand, and she fucks up, so he's gonna kill her. Like he calls her his right hand.
Right, yeah.
And then he's like, well, you fucked up, so I'm gonna put you in this torture device to compress you into a flesh cube.
Holy shit.
Shiny Mew. Chris C. Juicifrost. Cooper Tank, who's ready to sink another 100 hours into an Atlas RPG.
Allegedly, that game is only about 70.
Cool, so it will be 10 hours shorter than Lad 8 by the time I'm done. If I'm lucky. Indigo Sykes. Local SpongeBob.
Huh.
This is a weird regional variant.
Have you seen my wife?
Gaijin.
That is an immaculate level of shit.
Yeah. Shinji16 and the best Astrobot would like to remind you that you matter, you are valid, and you deserve to be happy.
That is cool.
It is so good. I really popped off.
That is
with
cool.
That. This raccoon can defeat Jiren. This is such a good picture.
I'm just imagining like Rigby stancing up against Jiren and then just like smash cuts to him in a crater.
Yes. Give Fubuki head pats and a cookie. She's not smart, but she's trying her absolute hardest.
Yeah, that's Kodaka's favorite archetype, the bimbo royalty.
Gene, the planner. I don't like this.
What is this garden of Ban ass Jinkaria I'm looking at?
Ugh.
Fucking he's going to he looks like something out of the Candy Mountain videos.
Yeah. Sarlene, Timothy Fister, Bearded Joe, Krunglespum, Pleochrome, a defenestrated Steve Clark, and so should you. Play Tactical Breach Wizards and question his plan. Oh my god.
Yeah, he's in there. I noticed.
Yeah, I actually didn't. I thought the words were enough. I didn't.
Props for using the word defenestrate. That's a good word.
Coming to a cursed content club near you. Dana Carvey is Desico Thunderbolt in The Master of Disguise.
Yeah, there's a character named Desahiko Thunderbolt. His ability is he jumps into his big backpack and then can jump out looking like anybody.
Damn.
The biggest positive reaction to anything multiverses related was because a comic artist has the hots for bugs.
Yeah, they aren't beating the allegations on that. They gave him eyeshadow.
Virmvarm. Jim Ryan investing $1 billion in Epic in 2022. Well, it's fine so far.
I mean, they're profitable now, allegedly.
Yeah, they're profitable now, allegedly. And hopefully for at least one more year. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Lord.
Perfect.
It's like a Pokemon villain with head trauma. His eyes are not lining up there. Who does that remind me of? That is a very specific Pokemon trainer I'm thinking of right now.
I was going to say he kind of looks like N's older brother.
I mean, he does. But there's a literal one who he looks so much like.
Reminds me of Elf comic. You guys read Elf comic?
I have not.
It's a webcomic about a snooty elf who makes a lot of faces like that.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Bleach Gags on vacation. Back to Yu-Gi-Oh! Cosmic Blazar Dragon.
Blazar?
Blazar.
That is really so that card is really funny because in the ending of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, the villain has a flashback to the doomed future he's from. And he like looks at a computer database that shows the kick-ass boss monster that the main character came up with in his doomed timeline, which is Cosmic Blazar Dragon. The main character does not ever use this card in the show. He develops a unique boss monster because of the timeline the villain causes by going back in time and interfering. So we didn't actually see this for like a decade until they were like, we need money. Pander.
Oh, good. Another 50-plus hour JRPG coding to contend with!
Another? Are you forgetting Romancing Saga, Dragon Quest III HD,
yeah,
Brothership, which will probably only be like 15-20.
And Wriggle Nightbug.
Yes, thank you.
That's a Toho, if it wasn't obvious.
I was like, somebody took a VTuber and put them in a tactics RPG is what this art says to me. Thank you very much to our Podlords.
Thank you,
Podlords.
Thank you, Podlords!
And if you'd like to become a Podlord, you can go to our Patreon at patreon.com/gbpodcast. For as little as $5 a month, you get access to many benefits, such as early access to Chugging, Bleach, and Pokemon Go to the Movies, our 2 monthly anime review podcasts, although I think Pokemon will be over very soon, and Bleach will be over soon in the grand scheme of things, until we have to wait for more fucking episodes to come out. Those motherfuckers, do it faster! You get many other benefits, such as extended armchair devs and gamer premonitions when we do those shows. Please go check out the extended armchair dev segment on our Sonic episode featuring Sarah Lene, and go subscribe to that channel if you haven't done so yet. And also, once a month, you either get a public show about a bad thing with a private commentary track for patrons, or a private patron-only show where we watch a good thing that you voted on and then discuss that. You also get an entire movie called Isolation 119 about a man going to Thailand to get a tax break on his vacation to Thailand. This is a real movie. It is feature length. You can actually watch it. This is real. This isn't some kind of weird joke. Full movie.
It's a full movie. And
might
it's
be
delightful.
Good for Halloween. Patreon.com/GBpodcast. If you don't have any money, it always helps immensely to just spread the word. Rate us on your podcast app of choice, and subscribe and leave a comment and like on YouTube right now. I'm going to post this picture of Wriggle Nightbug in the Big Think Dimension channel, patreon.com/gbpodcasts.
Well, one moment. Let me see what's up with that. They get us over here to the digital set. That's supposed to say the word news now. News now. Here's some fucking news. This image that Chris posted in the Discord channel. OBS, we doing all right? You don't want me to resize that? Okay, there we go.
That is not the original version of this image. There's one with like a CG bug made of circles, but I always preferred the Wriggle version.
That is good. Let's see.
Should we just start with the bad news?
Sure. Let's get our friend out. Chat, this is not a joke. Our friend died.
Uh-oh.
Whoa.
All that's left is fire. The fire died too? I won't soon forget this.
Okay, well. Tencent and Ubisoft are floating a partnership to take the company private. Basically, Tencent will give the Guillermo family the cash to buy up all the shares and take it private again, which would probably help. I'm sure the company would truncate a lot because of this, like contract really egregiously, and they'd probably fire 10,000 people. But not having to be beholden to the lowest class of humanity, parentheses, investors, could only help.
Yeah. I think there are very few situations where cutting investors out of your decision-making process wouldn't improve everything in the world.
Yep.
We don't know who, but somebody did insider trading with this info. We still don't know who, but somebody bought 200,000 shares of Ubisoft 30 minutes before they revealed that they were floating this, so the stock price spiked. I genuinely wonder if it might not come out that this isn't true at all and is a fake story that was planted to juice the stock number, and somebody goes to fucking jail.
Oh no.
Because this is the kind of shit you go to deep jail for.
Yes, 100%.
It's so cool how much of the economy is based on this absolute hokum.
I know. Isn't that great?
Speaking of shit that's absolutely fucking fake.
Uh-huh.
Roblox. So Hindenburg Research, an investment firm that they short sell. They be like, we're shorting this company. Here's our research on why it's about to die.
Mm-hmm.
the only company that they have released a report on this like this about that did not go down in flames is the one that is basically held up entirely by the Indian government. For every other one, you go to their Wikipedia page and it's like Hindenburg Research released this report. Then half their executives took cyanide pills and the other half was arrested. The stock fell 90%.
Yeah, they are straight up that door-to-door Grim Reaper meme.
Jesus.
So they released so much shit about Roblox. It is so fucking long, weak, and granular. We can't even cover it. Basically, the bullet points are Roblox has been unprofitable for 5+ years. They lost over $1 billion last year. All of their metrics are fake. They go into how, like, if you go to any Roblox resource, the kids are mostly talking about how many fake accounts they have that they use to juice themselves and other people because Roblox pays you for engagement in your game rooms. They talk about how Roblox encourages people to make idle games and then uses that and then claims that time as like active time that players are using it.
Oh.
They have claimed that Roblox has accurate numbers on unique users that they use internally to make decisions and then give their investors fake bullshit numbers of just accounts.
Right. Right. Of course.
They also go into how Roblox is like 50% pedophile by mass.
Yo, that might be a problem. Just maybe.
They just show like screenshots of like children literally posting like, I'll turn tricks for Robux. Like we can do erotic roleplay for Robux. Or like just pages and pages of games that children clearly should not be playing that are entirely about pedophilia that the Roblox makes no attempt whatsoever to keep from them.
So, do you think this is the inciting event that causes us to get weird sweeping legislation for online access to things?
Yeah, probably. I think this will definitely contribute. They were also like, Roblox outsourced all their moderation to Southeast Asia a couple years ago. They're paid basically nothing, and there's not nearly enough of them.
Wow. That's the first time I've ever heard that about a tech company.
So yeah, like, it definitely feels like, and their stock hasn't totally tanked yet. Usually that doesn't happen because another thing that happens, this quite literally happens with almost all cases where they've, released a report like this, the Department of Justice goes, yo, they're doing what? And immediately like gets involved.
Wait a second. So you're saying they're doing this deep investigative journalism in order to profit? That means capitalism is working, baby. We did it.
Yeah.
We solved the justice system through the stock market.
This is the perfect example of a capitalism, the cause of and solution to, and
all
then
of
further
life's
cause of
all of life's problems. So isn't it so fucking cool that every company clearly decided that the future was turning themselves into Roblox? And it's like, Roblox doesn't make any money.
Yep. They
just lose money.
They keep
hey,
doing
Tim Sweeney, how do you think that Unreal Engine for Fortnite's going to go?
It's going to be so
that
good.
Little plan's going to go, my man?
I didn't even talk about the interview because it was not necessary, I felt, after talking about the other parts. And the interview came out a little bit later, I feel like, after the event. But hey, did you hear any of the things they said about what would define Unreal Engine 6?
No, I'm gonna assume it's bad. Is it
so
we're shoving
nightmarish.
AI generation into it from the get? Like,
no, it's far more relevant to what we just talked about. They literally want to make Unreal Engine for Fortnite and the core engine to merge into just anyone can make anything in Unreal Engine. We're trying to turn it into almost like Dreams. They want
Unreal Engine to be a platform.
They want Roblox And they not only do they want to be Roblox, they want to hook directly into others. They want all of these other systems. They're like, we see no reason for you to Fortnite and Unreal Engine for Fortnite and all these other big service games to become the metaverse that Unreal Engine 6 will be. We will define Unreal Engine 6 by the point at which it is usable by a normal layman to make things.
They're so washed. They're in trouble.
Yep.
Like, dude, this isn't like Roblox is the we exploit child labor company and they still cannot make money. This is like if Lockheed Martin came out and said, somehow we lose money on those government contracts.
How does this keep happening?
What the fuck, man?
I don't know. Tech companies are incredibly good at just fucking up.
We're gonna the moment this AI shit falls off a cliff, we're gonna see some shit.
Mm-hmm.
I genuinely think Silicon Valley is gonna become a wasteland because I don't know if we talked about this. The Department of Justice is like over this Google ad. She's like, break them up.
Oh yeah,
they need to be broken up. They need to be split up. So imagine the world where Google split up, AI's dead, so there's no big hope for these huge tech companies to like buoy themselves up with the infinite money engine that they're dreaming of fucking having that isn't real and never will be. And then remote work decentralizes tech.
What a world.
What a fucking world indeed.
It would be nice if these companies got broken into small enough pieces where they stop being able to dream of creating the ecosystem and go back to just making products and selling them.
That work. You know, when you have a monopoly, you don't have to try. That's kind of the reason that those are supposed to be illegal.
Yep. So what I'm going into next is incredibly related to what we're talking about, but it's not the game industry burning down. So we're gonna wish our friend farewell. Goodbye, old friend. Get out of here. Anyway, okay. So hey, year over year, the iPhone did like 12 or 13% worse at launch week. Already credible rumors are coming out because, reminder, it did not ship with Apple Intelligence that, hey, they are moving away from the annual model.
Hooray!
We're about to crack that fucking nut for smartphones. We're finally going to stop having the perfectly annual phone. That is what the credible rumors are saying right now.
Next.
Oh, believe me. If NVIDIA somehow aces the 5000 series, they will be bucking the trend of the entire industry. So the next topic, information has just come out about the new Intel processors. The reviews are not out yet, but all of the information about the new Intel processors literally say there is no performance gain. There are efficiency gains. Hey, everybody, you know what this looks like? All this shit happening? Looks like Moore's Law is fucking dead.
Yep.
Looks like you guys should stop rushing out product on a regular schedule for no other reason than you can. Oh my God. We just had AMD ship CPUs that weren't meaningfully better and in some cases were slightly worse. And now Intel's doing it too. The main advantage with them is they will stop cranking the voltage so high to get those performance numbers. They're having to come clean. They're having to sober up. Holy crap, you guys. This world we're entering, where the Department of Justice is talking about breaking up Google, where Intel's shipping CPUs that aren't better performing than the last ones AMD is too, and Apple is sitting here going, oh boy, maybe we should stop shipping phones annually. Amazing stuff. The funniest part to me is when I read the article from the man who's leaking it / talking about it, he did not seem to understand because he's like, what are you talking about? Their other products aren't annual already. I'm like, their other products aren't the iPhone. No one's looking at Apple Watch and going, this one thing will define their entire stock. Which, oh boy, that's not going to go well. So yeah, I'm very excited. We still don't have the Apple intelligence in the new iPhone. The entire thing they're marketing is about, basically. They have weirdly enough, a marketing campaign also ready to launch or already airing, featuring the girl who plays Ellie in The Last of Us using her phone. I saw somebody tweet, I believe this is in the beta for Apple Intelligence. It summarized their girlfriend breaking up with them over texts. Said, what's her name is breaking up with you. She wants her things back. That is the worst way to get that information possibly ever. Thank you, tech industry. Let's move on. Uh, 343 Industries has changed their name to Halo Studios. They are, as was rumored for quite a while, switching to Unreal Engine. As a reminder, Microsoft depends on contractors to make all of their games.
Mm-hmm.
It is an obscenely high amount of contractors compared to normal employees, even by comparison to the rest of the game industry. Which
I think
is
it's like
pretty
half
high.
and half.
I think it's higher. I think the problem was it was even higher.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. Because keep in mind, many people outsource. The thing is, they literally have a constantly rotating. So if you do it by credits, right? Because reminder, they can only work, 18 months before they have to stop being a contractor on these games. It's literally a constant rolling cast. It's a constant rolling credits. So they're going to switch to Unreal Engine so they don't need to train people on the Slipspace engine in order to make a new game. They celebrated this by showing their test case. They're sort of like, this is us making Halo assets in Unreal Engine 5. And ladies and gentlemen, this thing behind me, believe it or not, is how Master Chief looks in that. It is not an action figure because holy crap, that looks like plastic crap. Like, I'm trying to stay positive on this overall, but the more I stared at this Master Chief that just looks like you took a macro lens to an action figure, the more weird I am about, man, he used to be made of metal, right? We weren't just messing that up the whole time, right?
Man, all I can see in my head is them releasing that Unreal Engine 5 Halo 1 remake on every platform, and everybody going, man, this, and like Sony guys going, man, this was Halo? I guess Halo always sucked because it's 30 frames a second and feels like shit because they didn't care.
Yeah, because here's the thing. You're not going to beat the original Halo or Bungie's track record for making a 30 frame per second shooter feel good. You have to try to do that, and Unreal Engine by default isn't going to do that. So you have to care.
And they won't care. There's no way that they're going to sit there and be like, we have to make the game feel good.
That seems so incredibly unlikely. They called this project where they made all these assets to show what Halo could look like Project Foundry. And they had like three things. They had a winter landscape, kind of like Halo 1. They had like the typical Halo Wintergreen National Park look. And then they had like, what if the flood really took over a place and it just looked like Zerg territory? I want to stay optimistic about this because current Microsoft literally cannot ship stuff. The Slipspace
I don't think this is going to change that.
Especially. Oh, I bet
like
they'll
this is a
ship a remake
Band-Aid
of
for
one.
a bullet hole.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Just to be clear, like, this is good. I don't feel my faith renewed in Halo. I'm just trying to stay optimistic about it. Because they'll probably ship anything ever again.
Mm-hmm.
If I were to be truly like, oh, this is great, we're doing well, things are going to be good, maybe, just maybe, you probably shouldn't have let Joe Staten leave. You probably should hire employees. You should probably not show this ever. Because this is, we've gone even lesser than a CG reveal trailer. This is, we made a thing in Unreal Engine. Aren't you proud of us? We made Halo art in Unreal Engine 5. It's not anything. It's not part of a game even. It's not the story of the game. We've hit a new low with this, I feel, when it comes to revealing a thing. Because at very least, the Emergence Day, the E-Day or whatever of Gears of War, that is the plot of that game. Presumably, a lot of that will show up in that game. The core assets, highest fidelity, of course, are in those cutscenes. And this thing isn't running on a Series X. If they ship a thing, it's not anytime soon either. So I don't think it matters.
Well, yeah, this is going to ship on the new fake Xbox. That's definitely going to come out in 18 months.
Yeah, they say it is. It'll be really interesting if that happens. Halo, best enjoyed. When are we getting the Master Chief Collection and stuff? Let's talk. That's what actually matters.
I don't think they're going to do that.
I don't think they're going to do that either. I'm getting mad.
That's a really stupid decision. They'd sell 10 million copies on PS5 probably.
Yeah, they would sell. They would make so much money in comparison to making a new Halo. It feels like.
Even that remake, like
Also,
I feel like what's going to happen is somebody's going to immediately. It's going to compare unfavorably to the Master Chief Collection. Like people will post comparisons.
Oh, yeah.
And just be like, this isn't as good.
Yeah. 100%. I'm there with you. Absolutely absurd. Let's move on. They're threatening us with a Shinobi movie. It's in development at Universal Pictures. They're going to have the director Sam Hargrave, previously directed Extraction, one of those Netflix movies that no one watched, which stars Chris Hemsworth. Weekly podcast series where we watch nothing but Netflix movies. Anyways, also PUBG Ground of Honor : Rondo? Bob's the one who did the research for this. No, I have no idea what the hell. PUBG Ground of Honor : Rondo, as that sounds insane. He seems to be mainly a stunt guy who worked on Avengers, Infinity War, Endgame, Deadpool 2, Captain America: Civil War, etc. And the screenplay is being adapted by Ken Kobayashi, who did a show called Sunny. It's on Apple TV Plus. No one knows what it is.
So, I mean, are we going to call it? Is Shinobi back?
Shinobi might be back.
I don't trust this to come out because they also optioned Streets of Rage 2 years ago with a John Wick guy attached, and we haven't fucking heard. Like, it takes so fucking long for anything to happen now.
And Chad Stahelski's supposed to also be doing Metal Gear, right? Or is that some other director?
I thought the director of Metal Gear was supposed to be the guy who did Kong Island.
Kong Skull Island. Yeah. So, yeah, these things just get announced and then meh.
Yeah, and like, I'm going to be real. I don't believe Hollywood's going to exist in 10 years. So...
No, the new Hollywood that will emerge from the irradiated ashes will finally make these things.
That's going to be in China.
I do love how the whole mechanic has shifted. From, like, it used to be, if you had this many names hard attached to a project, it was, hey, we're making this thing, and these are the people making it. Oh, cool. Now it's, hey, we're making this thing, and these are the people making it. Prove it.
Prove it, yeah.
I mean, with video game adaptations, this has always been the case. Like, I have a strong... until there's I'm watching a trailer, it isn't real.
Feel free to move on to Agros News.
I remember the 10 years Fox was super definitely going to make that Dragon Ball Z movie before they did. I think I'm going to move on to something, maybe less dire. So everybody at FromSoft is getting a raise.
Cool.
Starting salary for new graduates, new employees will increase from 260,000 yen to 300,000 yen. I didn't convert that.
That doesn't seem like it would be enough, unless that's monthly.
After the yen went wonky and you couldn't just do the drop 2 zeros thing anymore, it's all moon coins to me.
Even before that, I don't think that would have been enough. But then again, Japanese companies also have all kinds of fucking stipends where, like, they will literally pay you a stipend for your rent.
Employee base pay is going up. They say an average basic salary increases by 11.8%. Which, that sounds pretty good. But I've seen companies, our employees make an average of this much, which means that everybody makes shit and a few people make a decent wage and we just give you the average. But hey, it's people in the video game industry getting a raise instead of getting fired.
Yeah, Capcom and Atlas also both raised them up to that same level recently.
It is a good strategy to give your employees stable employment and foster skill and a knowledge base and keep that in your company so you can produce games. This is going into effect April 2025. Meanwhile, in Australia, so apparently they were selling Hotline Miami 2 wrong number without an age rating. Like in 2015, the Australian Classification Board denied it a rating because like it had a scene depicting sexual assault, and they were like, "We're just not going to rate this," so the game is basically banned. And then they did an upgraded version in 2023 for the PS5, and it just started selling to Australians on the PlayStation Store. Apparently, the same thing happened on Nintendo Store with the collection. You could just buy it and get around the ban on 2. Well, apparently somebody noticed and reported it, so they have unsold that game in Australia. If you got it from PS Plus, your license is just gone. If you bought it, they sent you an email to be like, "We're giving you a refund. We're very sorry. Australia caught us."
Australia sure has a thing with games.
Yep.
Yeah, man. For a country entirely composed of criminals, they sure get snooty about content. Oh god, it's me. Tomonobu Itagaki Studio is not shutting down. It was reported it was, but it has not. It was consolidated with another studio he also owns. But neither of these are Apex Games, his NFT studio that is making his epic NFT game, I think just called Warrior.
Yeah, I think that was the name.
But don't worry. He has not been depersoned from the industry yet. Like, he has not fallen out yet.
Man,
wasn't what's the fucking Square Enix guy that was in Final Fantasy 15 and left?
Oh no. I'm not even going to look at chat. The fact I can't remember is killing me. He even worked on Third Birthday.
Hajime Tabata. Like, I think his studio closed in the past year. It was like without producing anything.
Shock.
I might be remembering wrong.
They didn't produce their weird, what was it, Paralympics game?
I think they did produce that. It was just a phone game. But there was something where like he was going to make some huge game for somebody, and then I guess that fell through.
It sounds like his studio isn't closed. Some people are saying he announced an AI game.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like that's the trajectory for all these hacks who left big companies. Unless they got like the Tencent studio, it's always
when you have that Silicon Valley brain problem where you just go, I crypto, AI. This is the future.
I think it's probably more so that like the government is really getting in on it.
Well,
although he did say earlier this year, he's like, no, you have to do all that shit right now. No matter if you like it, you have to get on. And I'm like, nothing about that is shipped, my man. Oh, right. He announced that cutting edge RPG for adults.
Yes, finally.
That uses AI that is never going to fucking come out because of course it's not.
God, this whole AI situation. It's so unbelievably dumb. I'm looking forward to the event, the day, the specific moment that it all lights on fire. Because it's happening any day now. Presumably it's happening in January. But you know,
we've got a couple more funding cycles for OpenAI before people realize, yeah, nothing's coming. Like, there's still the hope that the thing that the AGI, the thing the term they had to invent for what anyone would actually consider an AI to be, will be here any day now.
Any day. Yeah, I wonder if Apple pulling out of their investment at the last second and the fact OpenAI has to describe it as, keep in mind, your investment is like a donation. You're not actually getting a dependable return or product from your investment. They literally said it.
I think they're also about to go like for profit.
If I remember, OpenAI's structure is bizarrely profit oriented, but it
was still under a nonprofit legally, and I think they're about to change that.
Is that the
Or
case?
there's
I thought that was
discussion
the
about to
case
change
before, and they already did the change. I thought the change happened sometime in the last year or two.
It happened literally last month.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, they were partly nonprofit, and now they're not. Even though they still say, just keep in mind, it's still a donation. Thank you.
That entire operation. No, please give us money so we can do crime. Please give us an exception so we can do our crime to make money. Fuck off.
What are you making with this? Terrible whittled down versions of the things we stole.
Did you see that Elon Musk is now really fucking hedging?
How do you mean?
He's now saying in 50 years all transportation will be automatic. He kind of increased that by a factor of 10.
Yeah.
Perhaps realizing, none of this shit is happening.
Chris, with this next news story, I actually wanted to talk to you the moment I found something out. But I wanted to present you with this information live.
Go ahead.
Well, you go ahead and tell the story. I'll add my bit.
Creative Assembly announces Alien Isolation sequel in development. Should I read the other bullets?
Yeah, go ahead.
Reminder that half the studio got fired last year when Hyenas was canceled. Yes, Sega had the studio that made Alien Isolation making Hyenas. They are now hiring.
Cool. Hey, Chris. You know how I found out about this news?
How?
Ryan McCaffrey took to Twitter to say Alien Isolation 2 announced, but all those armchair industry experts out there told me that my review specifically killed the sequel. That man gave Alien Isolation a 5.9. Like,
I've never heard a single person say that. I think he's mad at one post he saw one time 10 years ago. That's the type of person you have to be to run a Tesla podcast.
This dude, he has enough shit against him with how bad his takes and taste and track record is, where you can't notice 720p and 1080p. You need an 80-inch TV to notice that. And then a new one just comes out of nowhere with, I gave it a 5.9 and people said I killed the sequel.
No, service game brain rot killed the sequel.
Oops.
This still might never actually come out because they fired half the people from that fucking studio, which probably included a lot of people who were essential for the first one.
Yep.
You can't ship a Theseus your way to a fucking high-end game. Microsoft really clearly proves that.
Everyone's really trying, and it's not going great for Microsoft.
But it's so much more cost efficient to do that.
Is it? Because you're not making much money off of your bad video game?
No, it's okay. If we keep increasing cost efficiency, eventually we will turn a better profit.
No, that's not actually proven. That is
No, if you'll turn your attention to this metric sheet where I've written these numbers down, meaning that what I said was true.
Oh, okay. And these numbers, you just wrote them down? And they aren't derived from anything because historically what you're saying has never occurred.
Look, I don't need your anecdotal evidence getting in the way of my perfect pure business theory.
We didn't really have a news bullet written for this, but I thought it was also funny. Jason Schreier's doing like podcast book tour to talk about his new book about Activision Blizzard, specifically Blizzard. And there's a really funny line in there when he did the Kyle Bosman interview. Kyle Bosman's like, I'm going to read your passage for describing Phil Spencer. And at one point, he called him paunchy. He said he had a paunch. and he goes, why did you write that about Phil? He goes, what? I just wanted to describe him physically. These are things you write in books. So Kyle Bosman literally made that the title of the video. Jason Schreier says Phil Spencer has a paunch. It was way too funny. That book sounds interesting. I might need to read it based on the things said on that podcast. Because he talks about Bobby Kotick being in the room with the designs as they're trying to figure out what to do with like scrapping Titan and all that stuff. And he's like, these are some of the, like, because this is Overwatch. For people who don't remember the history, the Titan was like their second MMO they were going to make, and then they scrapped it and they turned all the designs and stuff into Overwatch. But as they're sitting there at that scrapping it point, Bobby Kodak's looking at the designs and he's like, we can't throw this away. These are like some of the best character designs I've ever seen. And I'm like, even Bobby Kotick can tell what happened with Concord. Like, come on now. How is no one in the room to go, like, there's no sauce?
All I can assume is, because we didn't talk, I don't think we mentioned this during the Silent Hill 2 remake part, but there's like a consulting firm in the credits that Jacob Geller, the YouTuber, works for, and their website description is literally like, we help you manage your game into being, to generate no controversy whatsoever, is how, pretty much how the company's MO is described. I just have to assume that was done to Concord so aggressively, it was filed down into a completely smooth sphere with no characteristics whatsoever.
My brain is building the most immense lore of, okay, so this is a consultation firm run by right-wing nut job who's literally giving them all the advice to fuel the right-wing nut jobs being mad at consultation firms for games, but for Concord. So it's just like
nobody even gave enough of a shit about Concord.
I know. But I like the idea of this evil organization whose sole goal is to be the evil they hate in the world. I genuinely enjoy that.
It's like how people tried to get up in arms, like right-wing guys tried to get up in arms about Dustborn, but even their viewers were like, what game is this?
I know. Every time that came out, it's like, people are mad about this game. Look, it used like this woke thing. And I'm like,
and it's like, statistically, nobody knows that game exists.
Right.
Not few people statistically of course, some people do, but in terms of statistics, nobody.
Before people started posting about how cringe it was, not one of our viewers knew that game existed. Not one.
Mm-hmm.
Not one. Which is,
I think that game peaked at like 54 Steam users, so it is 7% of a Concord.
Oh, that's a terrible metric. Oh my
that's
God.
the metric. That's the metric that people are using for that Until Dawn remake, which came in at, I think, 63% of a Concord.
God, I knew it was gonna do bad, but that is like, oh my God, Sony, you just wasted so much money. You are so lucky that Silent Hill 2 is doing well, because for people who don't know, they have like funding into that. That's how we even found out it existed in the first place.
Yeah, it became really obvious that they had some stake in that when I booted it up and I looked at the accessibility, and it has all like the TLOU2 shit. Like all
The Last of Us 2. Yeah.
2 accessibility features.
Yeah, no, like it's funny because I ran into people who just literally didn't know there was a connection at all, which is, you know, possibly me coming to terms with being so insider baseball over here on Big Think. Like, I try to stay mindful. Like, you know, earlier I almost just said Titan without explaining what that was in the least. I try to stay mindful of this stuff, but it still was a moment, again, where I had to realize, like, not everyone's paying as much attention to this. They don't realize Silent Hill 2's, like, co-funded by Sony. They don't realize that's how we found out about it way in advance.
I think Bloober's leadership said no, they're not actually putting up any money.
That is horse crap. We found out through Sony links. Like, it's a marketing deal at minimum.
Yeah, it's a marketing deal, but allegedly, like, Sony doesn't seem to be shelling out actual money to their exclusives anymore. It seems to just be, we promote you, which is money in the sense that marketing costs money, but they do not seem to be paying any of the development costs anymore.
I bet that's not true. I bet we hit those credits and we absolutely see something like a Sony Visual Arts Group or some of the studios they regularly depend upon. You know, like we were talking about with the FF7 stuff where, you know, even if it isn't dollars being paid to developer, it is studio expenses being handled. But who knows? I haven't.
But yeah, but I'm gonna be real. I look at that Silent Hill 2 remake and be like, oh, Sony didn't give any money to this because this would look better. If they were offering development support on this game, it would look better and probably run better.
Yeah, I don't doubt that second thing at all.
Man, you know, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth can mostly hold 60. What is your fucking problem, Silent Hill 2 remake?
But it couldn't.
I'm sorry, we had to turn on the Unreal Engine 5 feature that makes toothbrushes 700 million polygons.
Yeah, so about the fact that Halo is now going to be using the engine. By the way, I watched the video, and they were trying with Halo to talk about what was exciting about changing to Unreal Engine 5, and would you believe it, they literally listed Nanite and Lumens, and that was it.
That game is going to be one of the worst running games in human history.
Not something that,
assuming it comes out, which is still up in the air.
Not something that's like, here's how we could do battle royale modes, here's how we could do online connectivity, here's how we could speed up art development and other things. No, they literally specifically say lumens and nanite. The two things that make your games run bad. I bet if they had waited a few more months, they might have even also said mega lights. Oh boy, that looked hideous. We got better video of that after Big Think. Like right after that Big Think where I described it, where chat at the point of not working this is, and I believe this was on somebody's 3080, so it's more powerful than a PS5. You're not casting a shadow anymore. You are randomly darkening some blips on the screen. It doesn't form a cogent shadow anymore. God. Anyways, let's move on.
Okay. Nintendo announces Alarmo, a $100 alarm clock that can have alarms and sounds and characters from Nintendo franchise appear on it. This is a Mega 64-bit. Dan, talk about it for a second while I pee.
I literally didn't watch this video. Did you, Aggro?
I did. So okay, like it's red Nintendo plastic. It plays sounds and songs from games. It has a built-in wide field motion sensor. So
Yes.
if like you roll over, it starts playing sound effects, and when it senses that you have gotten up out of bed, it plays a little fanfare and ends the alarm.
Mm-hmm.
I desperately, with that part of my brain that just wants to be mean to people who aren't doing anything harmful, I desperately hope this thing connects to the internet for some reason, and you can hack these.
Oh my God. Good Lord. That would be a nightmare.
I feel like it has to be able to connect to the internet, because surely they will update it.
Yeah, there are updates coming out, and I believe it said it came with a USB cable instead of a regular charging cable.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit, they're gonna hack the fuck out of this.
The number one thing that I thought was funny is it doesn't work if somebody sleeps in the same bed as you. That's so. If you have a friend who's a huge Nintendo fan and they get a divorce, you know what to send them.
It also uses that motion, I guess, that motion tracker to do some kind of sleep tracking metrics thing. Which I like.
So
we
what,
we
I
need
now
one
have
more
to-
big weird product that's Nintendo branded to do sleep tracking before it becomes a fetish.
I now have to like angle the alarm clock to look at me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good point. You would have to do that.
Like I can't put it on a dresser or something that's like above bed level. It has to be on an end table that's about even with the.
I mean, I don't know what the verticality is on the spread, but like they animated a big cone that covered most of the bed in the video. But
Like if I thrash in my sleep, is it gonna wake me up at 3 a.m.? Like obviously you're getting up, dude. Like do.
Yeah,
like fucking Zelda.
Right? Like what is?
one assumes because it has the option to just play chimes on the hour that you can black out certain hours.
Look, all I'm saying is, I have a pre-made fan art. To solve all questions on my interest with the Alarmo.
Alarmo has detected a body pillow with a non-Nintendo IP.
It just disappears into a puff of smoke, and I'm like, no! Oh man. God. Yeah.
Also, you get a shot at pre-ordering this first if you're a Nintendo Online member. Do you think we're heading towards the end of not on the company's end, of course, the consumers being like, why am I paying for this?
Yeah, we hit that with
because
streaming
it's becoming
video platforms a while ago. It's gonna start happening with games.
It's becoming increasingly it's been increasingly losing value because fewer and fewer relevant games require it. Like if you play Fortnite, you don't need it because Fortnite you can play even without an online membership. On Sony, at least, I don't know if free-to-play games don't require one on Nintendo. It might because it's so cheap. I don't actually know. I only know I'm talking specifically about Sony because Nintendo isn't as relevant in this situation.
In this
it's only $20 a year on Nintendo instead of 80.
Instead of 80 to 160?
I think 170.
So here's the thing. I don't think they used to do this. Sony sent me an email to be like, bro, we're going to renew your sub like soon. So
no, they've always done that.
They've always done okay.
They've always done that. They have to do it because a lot of the times your bank will call you and be like, "Is this you?" It's a random $90 charge. But you don't have like on Sony, you don't have to have it to play any free-to-play game. You don't have to have it to play any game that requires a sub. What do you need it for? You need it for Helldivers. You liked Helldivers. That was like the biggest buff it got recently.
And you need it in order to have any security with your save files because they should be thrown in prison.
I don't know how much the average lay person thinks about that, though.
Not a lot. Most people don't think about a lot of things they should.
But like it's even I even feel like there's like the Shinigami Eyes of Death numbers over Call of Duty. How long before Microsoft just gives up and says Call of Duty multiplayer is now a free-to-play thing like Warzone. Warzone now also includes basic Call of Duty multiplayer. It's too hard to make games every year.
I think we're a few years away from that just because they make so much money off of selling the disc, and selling the disc is the thing, right? Like you can't give away that new multiplayer for free because then literally no one will buy the game. It's a really even.
Yeah, but if Microsoft has fucked up their development pipeline so hard they can't consistently ship those games, then the decision becomes a lot easier. But yeah, like Call of Duty and fighting games and Helldivers are like it. Like nothing else even requires it. So I wonder how long before Sony announces they lost 10% of their PSN sales, which equates to $400 million a year.
It's gonna happen.
Like, guys, like genuinely, if Sony lost 25% of PSN subs, they'd no longer be a profitable company.
God, yeah. What is their profit margin again? Like in raw dollars?
I need to check.
Why do I not have that chart around at all times? I constantly want to see it. Nintendo versus PlayStation profit revenue graph. Okay, this should hopefully bring it up. Don't give me an AI overview. Let's see. Yeah, they're not breaking down the profit though. Found a chart, but it's not.
Okay, Microsoft's operating profit was 290 billion yen.
Microsoft's?
Oh no, Sony's. I mean, I'm sorry, PlayStation's.
Oh, okay. So Sony was 290 billion yen for what was it?
Profit?
So
that's basically $2 billion of profit. So they'd have to lose about half of their PS Plus subscribers for that to make them unprofitable. But that's a really scary. It's really scary to think that Sony is entirely fucking buoyed by this rent seeking, and that's why these companies will never stop.
Yeah, because it has amazing revenues until some sort of government mandates that they better police online spaces.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it's like,
and then
all of a sudden that's not as profitable anymore.
Weird.
Oh, no.
Now that we have to do a thing to earn your money, it's not as profitable anymore. Ah, man. Jeez. Who did this? I did this? No, that can't be the case.
Nintendo has announced a mystery online play test for some new software you've already missed the chance to sign up.
Sorry.
It was only expansion pack owners, so only if you had the $50 a year online subscription could you even sign up for this. I assume this is for a legal reason, but in America, in other territories, it was first come, first serve. In Japan, it was decided by raffle, which frankly would be the ultimate way to blow the brains out of all these scalpers and should be how everybody does everything like this. Like, imagine if Sony announced all this shit that you can pre-order that's going to be high demand was decided via raffle.
Right, yeah. I mean, they have done things like that in Japan. Not just them, but that is more normalized there.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a legal thing, like there's some kind of legal regulation over there, or if it's just a cultural thing, in which case, how about we make it a cultural thing over here?
I have to wonder how weird that gets. No, it couldn't be considered gambling because the person who doesn't get the raffle doesn't get anything or lose anything. So I don't know.
Raffles where you have to pay to enter the raffle are done by churches all over the fucking country.
Well, that's a donation. Yeah, my money's on this being the thing I talked about in Gamer Premonition Switch 2. So look forward to it, everyone.
What was that again?
Street Pass and Miiverse are back. So is PlayStation Home.
Since it's expansion pack only, I wonder if they haven't somehow come up with some version of DS emulation.
Yeah, a lot of people are leaning towards that, and that would be really good. That'd be delightful.
Obviously, it won't replace the functionality of your 3DS capture card, but I just imagined, because a person I follow on Twitter was like, it might be DS emulation. I just imagined Dan screaming like, "No, we just bought this!"
Oh no, believe me, I have the same feelings I had at the end of our insanely long, insanely expensive journey to get all these retro consoles hooked up, and the Mister came out. Good. You want to give me another option and this one's rock solid? Good. Oh, it's not rock solid? I still have this thing.
Man, this is only minorly aside, but I feel like the Castlevania Dominus collection, go buy that, by the way.
Go buy that.
The Castlevania Dominus collection really opened up like a whole new world for how I think of retro re-releases. Like, instead of just cropping the screen or giving me borders with art, how about you put some fucking information on the other parts of that screen?
The funny thing is, like, they can work that sort of thing in just like they did with that. Like, literally, in my opinion, okay, grain of salt, there is the tools even in the PS1 emulator and PS2 emulator for the PS5 where they could do stuff like that. Like, it can read memory values and trigger arbitrary things, right? So they could do that. That would take an immense amount of effort, but it's there and it offers incredible value.
So yeah, I think that this starts on the 20th. Someone will almost assuredly leak it immediately. There's literal, like, even Nintendo can't pretend that somebody isn't just going to immediately come to Twitter and be like, "It was this," because you downloaded off your onto your Switch.
People are tweeting about patents that came out a year ago about a new version of Miiverse. Could be. Could be. There's no way this doesn't get out the second it happens. So. I'm going to be so smug when the Switch 2 is centered heavily on this fucking Miiverse 2 and et cetera, and all the other things I said. And it's not in the shape of an N, and Bob cries again. His PS5 isn't PS2 shaped, and his Switch 2 isn't a giant N. We'll have to make him feel better. We'll have to gather together to make him a Switch 2 dock that's the shape of a giant N. Just so he feels better.
So here's a bizarre thing that was announced today that I didn't put in news because I forgot. Aspire is released, like, they're releasing a fucking remaster of Star Wars Episode 1 Jedi Power Battles.
Ooh.
Huh.
January 23rd, 2025.
Cool. That is a game
Man, isn't it funny how the entire industry caught fire and suddenly people went, we better monetize these old games.
Yeah, it's weird when it comes to making new games. They don't care about those old games, but when it comes to making easy money, they sure care a whole hell of a lot. Some might say they care about $30 or $40.
Man, this shit better not be like $40. This is one PS1 game.
No, for this, no.
I think it's already revealed to be 20.
I assume Tomb Raider was 30 because it had multiple, right?
Probably. Yeah, this is even on sale as a pre-order, so it's $18 on every platform but Xbox, where it is 20 because it didn't get that buff.
Jesus. $20 seems like a lot for Jedi Power Battles. This better look real good. They better be doing something here to make it worth that. Is there a Dreamcast version they could work off of for that?
I don't know.
Let me see. Yeah, there's a Dreamcast version. Who knows if that's the one they're using? That should be the one they use, frankly. That's so funny, though. Oh man,
you know what's you know what's kind of strange? This isn't really direct. Like it's so weird that like there weren't more ports from PlayStation to Dreamcast at any point.
You know,
I guess it died too fast for that to really happen.
Right, and the PS2 came in too fast for that to happen. Because you know they had things like Tony Hawk. You know,
yeah, I remember. I believe at some point this was just something I read in a magazine a million fucking years ago. That at one point Square Enix, not Square Enix because it was SquareSoft at the time. SquareSoft was interested in a Final Fantasy VIII port to Dreamcast.
Oh, I'd never heard that. Huh. Yeah, for the little bit that it was relevant, there were simultaneous launches with PS1 and Dreamcast a lot of the time. I mean, you got your Mortal Kombat 4s, your Tony Hawks, your Jedi Power Battles. There were many things like that. Would that be Mortal Kombat? Didn't they have a different name for that Mortal Kombat, though? Wasn't it like Mortal Kombat 4 Gold or something?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. But yeah, I don't know about $20. That's I played that game. Every time I play that game, I'm like, oh, this is really cool. And then I brutally die and I go, yeah, that wasn't worth it. I just stopped playing it. I don't know, Chris, you ever play that one heavily?
What, Jedi Power Battles?
Yeah, Power Battles.
I've never played Jedi Power Battles. I was given the Phantom Menace game with amazing AI, according to the Wikipedia page written by one of the developers.
Yeah. They have the most advanced AI, of course.
But no, I never played Jedi Power Battles. It's probably a much better game because it isn't trying to be fucking Deus Ex and having weird RPG elements and dialogue choices.
I think that's what makes that other game far more fascinating, though. But yes, it is a more enjoyable game for the little bit that you might play it. Oh yeah, that's a good point. Resident Evil 2 and 3. And technically, we got a reverse of what Chris was talking about with Code Veronica starting on the Dreamcast and ending up on PS2. Which that happened a fair number of times.
I wonder if that remake or if RE9 will be first. Because I know they're working on both.
Yeah, aren't they? Am I wrong, or were they not also working on a Zero remake?
I think that too. I think they're working on all two, but I think so M2 was doing Zero. Yeah, or M3. Whatever.
No, it's M2. You got it. Yeah. It's terrible because they spelt it out unlike M2. If I remember correctly, that's the deal with those companies. What a nightmare. But yeah, I have to wonder which of those three will come first. I always assumed 9, but we don't know.
Yeah, like that would make sense if you could choose, but who knows what the state of development is.
The only rumor, the only thing I've really heard about 9 is that rumor that it's the biggest RE ever and going to be open world in some capacity, which I hope is just a bad description of the structure of the sort of structure that RE4 Remake has.
Right? Like I was going to make a joke, like, is it a truly open world Resident Evil?
Ugh. I'm interested in them doing that for one entry, just like I was interested in them doing the Resident Evil 7 thing for one entry. The problem is when this becomes the future of the franchise, as it usually is, right? Like, Imagine Castlevania's on DS and portables, 2D ones continued after Order of Ecclesia, and they all decided that was the combat they should have in every single one of them. That would be the problem. I'm interested in this notion, though. I'm interested in this large-scale Resident Evil because I'm curious what that could mean.
Yeah,
I'm not
this huge area. You'll play as
Capcom's-
Chris. He's slimmed down a little bit. He's bought a motorcycle and a black hat.
Oh yeah?
I'm
Would you say he's a 1% or?
I'm just so fucking scared. It'll be like, oh, yeah, this shit can't hold above 30 and looks TAA to shit like Dragon's Dogma 2, and allegedly Wilds looks like shit with that also.
Yeah, I have to wonder if
Like I ain't playing a 30 frames per second Resident Evil game, Capcom.
But you played Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube all the time.
No, I didn't.
What?
I think I played that once. Almost all my playthroughs have been on the PC version that runs at 60.
What? Oh. One moment. I'll get your ass. You played Resident Evil 5 on the PS3 all the time.
Nope, I played that on PC.
You played Resident Evil 6 on PS3, right?
I played Resident Evil 6 for about 90 minutes before I went, oh, everybody who said this was actually good is a liar, and then deleted it off my PC.
Did you play Resident Evil 7 on PS4? That was unstable 3040.
I think I did, but didn't it get a pro update to perform better?
I actually have no idea. I didn't own a Pro, and 7 wasn't my forte, so I didn't jump into that until we streamed it a few years back. Yeah, no, I obviously don't want a 30 frames per second Resident Evil. So, if that's what it takes, don't do it.
Okay, 7 ran at 60 on the Pro.
Oh, okay. That's good. How about this? You get a new open world Resident Evil. It runs at 30 on the base PS5, but on the Pro, it runs at 60. And the temporal AA is fine because it has a pisser. Is this
Apparently the base PS4 version of 7 ran at 60.
No. That's undoubtedly uncapped and fluctuating. God, does that? Yeah, you know what? I'll just look up a Digital Foundry video at some point because there's no point in me speculating. Because I don't think that.
It's like, bro, you're making a third-person action game. Like, I need to be able to not be physically ill playing it. Like, first of all, I said, Capcom, I'm not playing a 30 FPS Resident Evil from the angle of it will feel bad. I forgot briefly what a modern 30 FPS game looks like, so it doesn't matter. I can't. I am physically incapable.
Yeah, my brother, I'm not sure I ever brought this up on content. My brother actually got sick playing the multiplayer for Killzone Shadowfall because it used an interlaced internal resolution and used like de-interlaced TV tech to make it a full 1080p. So as we go more and more to this era of games just really leaning hard into temporal AA and getting mushy in a way, I have to wonder how many people get literally viscerally ill.
Again, God of War Ragnarok ran at 4K, 2160C checkerboarded at 60. No next gen game has looked better than that. Not fucking one.
Okay, chat. I figured out why I thought Resident Evil 7 was an unstable 60. It is. On Xbox
On the Series X?
exclusively. On Resident Evil 7 on the Xbox One is like 40 frames per second.
And I don't even think it runs at 60 on the One X because they bumped it up to 4K. Because that was the fucking mandate.
That would have been after launch anyways. So I don't actually know. God, that's rough. It's so rough looking at this chart, and the PS4 and PS4 Pro are like, we're fine. What's your deal?
The Kinect?
Yeah, see, in that case, I think it might have been the cheap-ass RAM they put in it. Because for people who don't remember, the Xbox One doesn't have like a giant stack of fast memory. It has a really, really tiny amount of ES RAM and then bog standard DDR3. So
I like how Dan's like, if you don't remember, here's this esoteric tech shit that no normal person knows.
but they might have known at one point. So yeah, like the scenes where I'm seeing it tank is when fire's all over the screen, and it's like, no, I don't
Like
have memory bandwidth.
genuinely, the Xbox One was so pathetic. I remember when I was playing those Tomb Raider games last year, I think it was, and it was like, and I was like, wait, what do you mean that the 8th gen version of Tomb Raider 2013 only ran at 30 on the Xbox One? It was 60 on the PS4.
Yeah, no, that's they really did earn dropping their entire fan base that gen. It was not easy, but they nailed it by making a total piece of crap that was more expensive and had a camera you didn't want.
Oh, that's nasty, man. I don't want any of that.
It's pretty standard. Like, it just goes the whole time. The weirdest thing is newer Digital Foundry stuff doesn't set the scale like this. So that is a huge tank to 45.
Can you imagine when whatever period of exclusivity Sony has is over and they're like, okay, we can put Silent Hill 2 Remake on the Series S?
I want to see that really bad. Holy crap.
Christ. With our new technology, we just dump all of the pixels in a bucket and then pour it onto the screen.
Eat the slop. Eat it.
One final thing.
Sure.
David Hayter teased he's recording for some role he hasn't done in a while. I don't think it's Solid Snake, even though that's where everybody's brain automatically goes.
Do you want to know my bet? First off, do you have a bet? We should do Gamer Premonitions right now.
Sure, I do have a bet.
Okay, what's your bet?
Bloodstained 2.
You know what my bet is?
Bloodstained 2.
Captain America, because he played him in the Spider-Man the Animated Series.
Oh, that'd be sick if they get Hayter for that inherently doomed Amy Hennig project.
Yeah, I'll be there day one, $70.
Cashlov Cagliostro heist game.
Yeah, that's another thing, is that he was Lupin.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, but the only other thing it could be is because Konami does not have some original fucking Metal Gear thing that would be done enough to be doing voice acting already. Like, not while Delta is right there. Maybe they were like, oh, we actually do have to re-record the audio for Delta.
Maybe.
That is actually something we need to do.
Because them making a new Metal Gear is inevitable. Konami will do that somehow, some way.
Yeah, and then they will learn a painful lesson, I think.
I don't know.
I think Kojima is the one guy in the industry who can actually get the entire industry to go, what is this hack shit you're doing with his stuff, Konami? Like, I don't think a remake triggers that, but I think if they were like, here is our new Metal Gear game with David Hayter as Solid Snake, even if it was remakes of 1 and 2.
I
like
don't know anymore.
The MSX ones.
I don't know.
The entire industry still circles and sucks Kojima's dick. I can't.
100%, yeah. Does that mean I don't think no one will make it? No, I think someone will make it. Will it go well?
They'll probably try to make it. I don't think it'll go well.
Yeah, I don't know. Most video games ever made don't have good enough cinematography to make a Metal Gear.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that, like, Kojima is a lot more than just the name Kojima. He's kind of a lot of things that are very crucial to the identity of that franchise, which is probably the reason they're just like, just make it 1-to-1 with Delta.
With Delta, yeah. Which, how funny to name your game Delta and then every cutscene's 1-to-1.
Well, because the Delta's a triangle and it has 3 sides.
Delta means change over time. So change between 2 values or data. So it having less changes is inherently fun.
It's also a Greek letter that's a triangle with 3 sides.
I get that.
They also run airplanes.
Calling it Metal Gear Boeing was a really weird.
No, that's gonna be the next Hitman game, Hitman Boeing. We got another job for you, Agent 47.
Naked Snake, we've set you in on the Boeing Max.
I think flying on a Boeing aircraft is more of an Uncharted deal.
It is, yes, 100%.
It just starts falling apart midair.
He was just sitting at the window side seat without his seatbelt on. He didn't know. This is where his adventure starts. Oh man. Yeah, no, I'm really hoping haters Captain America. That'd be great.
I really want that now, actually. I want to see him like a 7. What are you up to? 77 now? Just crack in half like the Titanic, and you have to run up one side and jump to the front.
I'm trying to think. Do I want an Uncharted game where older Nathan Drake didn't set out on an adventure? He's just been stranded on an island from a crash.
That'd be funny, but I feel like if that Sony Visual Arts group Uncharted is real, it's just going to be so weak.
I can't remember if that's still going.
I feel like they probably canceled it because it's just like I feel like Uncharted specifically, you can't do the passing it off to another studio thing. Like, and Naughty Dog has been very firm. Like, we're done with Uncharted. We're not going back to Uncharted.
I actually really disagree. I think Sony has done a really good job of shaping all of their studios to almost come off as Naughty Dog, making it Uncharted. I think Insomniac could possibly make the best Uncharted game ever, but they won't. They have better shit to do. Like making 1 million Marvel games, apparently, and maybe a Ratchet before the heat death of the universe. Anyway, by the way, as you may have been able to tell by me referencing David Hayter voicing Captain America on the Spider-Man the Animated Series, I finished watching all of that. Man, that last season, huh? For people who don't know, that last season is just a bunch of really big swings for multi-parters. So like 5-parter, 3-parter, 2-parter, 3-parter, 2-parter.
I think that's where they even like completely give up adapting comics because they do all the weird Madam Web shit.
Okay, yeah. Let me go ahead and just say so. Madam Web and the Beyonder wish away Spider-Man to a different planet that they wished the bad guys away to so they could take over the planet. And now Spider-Man needs to make a crack team of any heroes he wants to solve the problem. Spider-Man orders it like someone panicking in a drive-thru and goes, the Fantastic Four?
That's an adaptation of Secret Wars.
Yeah, they literally called it the Secret Wars. The sentence they said at the very end was very funny because they're like, we must remember the Secret War.
So you
finished, right?
War?
Yeah, I'm done. I finished all of Spider-Man the Animated Series.
I love because if you don't know, the end of that.
Hit the button.
Yeah, hit the button for this 30-year-old fucking television show.
I know, right?
The end of that show, the final episode is the original Spider-Verse, where Madam Web sends Spider... Because, so you know how Green Goblin throws Gwen Stacy off the bridge and Spider-Man shoots the web down at her and it snaps her neck and he's very sad because Gwen Stacy is dead. They do that to Mary Jane in this cartoon, but she doesn't get her neck broken. She falls into a portal to another dimension.
Yep. She falls into the exact portal Green Goblin... what was it? I'm so bad at the Osborn's name. Norman Osborn.
Norman Osborn is the dad.
Yeah. He disappears into that portal earlier in the series or whatever. So they're just off in that portal.
Yeah. So the whole thing is like Spider-Man doing these trials from Madam Web to get so he can earn the fucking he can earn his stamp card to find out where Mary Jane is.
Mm-hmm. No shit.
So at the end, she sends they do the original Spider-Verse where Spider-Man has to join forces with all these different universe Spider-Men to fight Spider Carnage.
Yep.
The big villain, and he is defeated by Spider-Man bringing Uncle Ben to basically dress him down from a universe where Uncle Ben did not die.
Yeah. He finds the one Uncle Ben. They just happen to be in the universe. Uncle Ben's fine. He goes and gets Uncle Ben, and Spider Carnage just starts screaming about how he can't separate Carnage and leaps into a portal that seemingly murders him. Like, this one seems more menacing and dangerous than the others. Uncle Ben basically guilt-tripped him, and then he killed himself. That is how he deals with Spider Carnage. I laughed so hard. And then that concludes with, okay, well, we need to go somewhere else. And Madam Web takes Spider-Man to meet Stan Lee in the last, 3 minutes of the final episode of Spider-Man, the animated series, is Stan Lee getting to voice Stan Lee and talking about how Madam Web is hot. Madam Web voiced by his wife, by the way.
That's really funny. I didn't know that part.
God, that man he did so much cool shit.
And then he swings around the city. He's like, whoa, this is really crazy. This isn't how I imagined this at all. Oh, wow. And then after having fun with Stan Lee, Spider-Man swings off into a portal with Madam Web, who's just like, oh, we're going to find Mary Jane now. Let's do it. And
I think then he goes to a planet of furries. I think that Spider-Man Unlimited is specifically supposed to be a sequel.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yes.
Wow.
But I don't remember that whether or not those. Man, I still think that Spider-Man the Animated Series Peter Parker is the best voice they've ever given Peter Parker.
So here's the thing. I have no childhood bias going into this at all. I watched it as a kid, didn't really remember shit, it turns out. Like, barely anything other than the fucking theme song doing its thing. I also agree. I think that Peter Parker's one of the best Peter Parkers. He's nothing but deranged nonstop. He's he has two modes: fucking furious and unmedicated. These are the only two modes with him. I love it. It works so well. I really wish Insomniac Spider-Man acted like this one.
Yeah,
it is so good.
Man, they really kind of wasted symbiote rage Peter in Spider-Man 2.
I really hope that the third Spider-Verse movie gets this voice actor for Peter, gets a performance like this at bare minimum, has this Peter Parker, because that energy for Peter Parker is incredible. We need more of that, because he's constantly... You know, when you think of Spider-Man quipping, you think of it as like, oh, he says a funny gag about the moment that's happening. No, in the animated series, if he's talking to a villain, it's a quippy gag that is cutting them to their core and just making them feel like shit. He's a bully. It's really great.
It's kind of like how the original conceit for Spider-Man 2099 before the Spider-Verse movie like completely redefined him. His banter was just telling villains to kill themselves, basically.
Right? Yeah. it's really good. Oh man. But yeah. So hopefully Spider-Man the Animated Series Spider-Man shows up in the third Spider-Verse film. I actually think that would do a lot to improve my opinion of the Spider-Verse films, because while I don't think they're bad, I don't think they're as amazing as everyone else.
He still does voices for like in Spider-Man shit all the time. Like I think in a lot of stuff he's Electro these days. He was Electro in like Spider-Man Ultimate Alliance 3.
Yeah, I was looking that up and I'm like, he's still doing Spider-Man stuff.
He's also the fucking the Little Mermaid prince in all Disney shit now, including Kingdom Hearts 2.
The prince from the oh my god,
from
the prince from the Little Mermaid?
Yeah,
Prince Eric.
Yes. Oh my god. I was like, what?
And
mermaid
he was in that as recently as like this year in their free to play kart racing game that came out this year.
That's crazy. But yeah, no, that I've been completely sold on. This is probably my favorite Spider-Man ever, which is crazy because I have no nostalgia for this.
He's also Greg Brady in those 90s Brady Bunch movies.
No, what?
Yeah, he's Greg Brady in the two 90s one, the 1995 and 1996 ones.
Oh my god.
I mean, I don't want to spoil future content plans, but as somebody just as an observer, even not even with the steering wheel in my hand, it seems inevitable that a Brady Bunch live action movie should end up on one of our various ideas.
I think at least the original one was good. I think it's in the same vein as that Addams Family movie where it's the weird string of 90s remakes of 60s and 70s shows that were all pretty good.
Yeah. That's how I remember it.
I think that Beverly Hillbillies movie was good. The Addams Family movie was good.
Yep. Oh man, my family
was good.
My family took me to see all of those ever. All of them. Even what's the name of the one where it's it was based on like an action-y sort of like drug bust action cops thing. It came out in like 2005 and it had Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson.
Starsky and Hutch.
Thank you. I could only remember the parody name of Stroker and Hoop. Anyway, yeah, even that, like literally all of them. Gilligan's Isle. God,
There was a
Charlie's
Gilligan's Island one?
Angels.
I'm pretty sure there was a Gilligan's
I don't think there
Island.
was a maybe there
I'm
was.
thinking. Maybe I'm thinking of that other island, McHale's Navy. Even that.
The Fugitive.
When's the Pleasantville spoiler cast? That seems random. That's not one of these.
Mission Impossible was technically one of those.
Bobbins Robbins, are you just swinging this whole time for Pleasantville, and you're like, now's a good time to just ask for it?
I remember liking the Leave It to Beaver movie as a kid. I have no idea if it held up at all like the others. Also, Wild Wild West, technically one of those.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. And they made the wise decision to have a giant mechanical spider, a thing that man should have gotten into everything.
Maybe
Smart
not.
Might be too late for that.
Yeah, because that was 08? 07?
Yeah, it was 08.
Oh, wow, I nailed that. Holy shit.
I think that one happened because of the Pink Panther 2006,
Yes.
the Steve Martin Pink Panther.
Exactly.
Man, remember when we used to be able to make movies?
Yeah.
Seems like we can't fucking make anything anymore. Maybe it's because all these companies are too fucking big. It's like every company's a fucking dinosaur now. It takes like half a second for signals to get from their limbs to their brain.
And the weirdest part, it's not even necessarily because of people aging. Just fundamentally, when the new people come in, the bureaucracy just starts at the same thickened level it was fundamentally institutionally before they arrive. So it only gets worse constantly, nonstop, forever.
Oh shit, guys! Important last-minute news story. This morning, PS5 Pros became available to pre-order at all retailers. Still in stock everywhere.
Yeah. I'm not
Good
surprised.
News?
I'm not surprised. This is why I kept joking with Bob. Somebody's going to try to buy them and scalp them and immediately go, uh-oh. What do you mean they're not selling out? Oh, no. I was trying to figure out what would be the better place to do the pre-order through. I want your guesses. The two choices I'm handing you are, well, okay, there's three. One's Target. They said they would get it to me a day late. The other two are Amazon, who said nothing, and then eventually said, oh, yeah, it's the date. It's the date. I promise. And Walmart, which said it's the date. Which of these three do you think will be the fastest method?
Walmart.
Oh, yeah? Okay, Aggro?
Because I'm pretty sure that's where... Go ahead.
I think you should find a scalper and offer them 500 and call them a cuck.
I think when I ordered my PS5, I think the one that got here first, because I just ordered one from every single place that I could get an order in. Like, if something happens, I can sell these to my friend at cost, or be a piece of shit and scalp them, which I was a piece of shit and scalped one of them.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But Walmart got me at first. That was the one that I got that eventually burned up earlier this year.
So for people who don't know, Bob and I secured, I believe it was 5 total PS5s at launch, just to make sure we had a secure inventory for ourselves. And we had friends who definitely wanted to get PS5s, like Aggro and Ryan Secrets, and Eric. And there you go. That's all 5. So we were able to spread it like that. I don't know that many people who want a PS5 Pro. That shit costs too much. So I had to put my chips on something. I had to push all in, and I went with Walmart because, yeah, same experience, Chris. Like, they were on top of it. They got it to me. Target said at earliest it would be the next day. So I was like, I don't trust Amazon. They can't even ship a game on time. Why would I trust them with a large box? We're going to go with Walmart. So we'll see how that pays out.
I don't know what the fuck's up with Amazon. Is it
neither.
on their end? Like, they need to understand that, hey, I will never buy a game from you if you can't get it to me on release day.
Yeah. Yeah, I have no idea.
Like, I'll never buy a game at release from you. I might buy one later from you.
Right.
But I am not buying a game from you on release day if you can't get it to me on release day.
Right, because at that point, your options are, well, I can just go to local places that might have it, or digital. So why would you risk it?
I'm trying to move away from digital. There's very few,
I understand.
Very few cases.
I'm the last person you need to make that argument.
I bought Raincoat digitally because I'm like, oh, fuck, I have to stream it. Fuck.
Yep, so now you know how I own Immortals of Avium.
I was pretty down on Master Detective Archives in that segment. I'm more positive on it than Immortals of Avium.
obviously, how could you be as negative as every human on Earth was about Immortals of Avium? Yeah, I almost ended up in a situation where I had to also do digital on Silent Hill 2, but luckily Tosh went and got it for me. I barely slept today because of all the work I put into the house stuff, and luckily she was able to do it.
You'd have to do the PS5 wife swap with Bob again.
I know, and I really didn't want to do that, especially since he's sick. I'd rather finish my time with the game, decide if I'm doing more than one playthrough, and hand him the fucking disc.
Man, if I probably would have been a little bit harsher on that remake in that earlier segment if I was down $70 permanently on it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a lot of games.
That's a lot of games, yeah. Like Dragon Age Valkyrie.
It's almost like $70 is too fucking much for a game. I wonder when these companies are going to realize that I know people who got into gaming during COVID because they got a console and all these great games were cheap and are like, I don't play new games because those are $70 each.
Look, they can understand that free-to-play games have an insanely high roof, and then that $70 games have a certain amount of ability to generate revenue. But they can't understand that there's, in fact, an audience that increases between these 2 points. Maybe a $60 game can, in fact, sell way more copies than a $70 one. Just a thought. I'm going to be honest. I was waiting for a code for Silent Hill 2 because I'm trying to save money, and that didn't happen. So part of me got really frustrated we didn't buy the stupid edition in order to stream it really early and get that done. But I guess the plus on this is Bob didn't give me whatever sickness he got whenever he got it. And also, I don't have to figure out something else to stream tomorrow. So I guess there are positives. Let's see. Is there anything else we need to... Nope, we talked about Spider-Man the Animated Series, the most important thing to talk about in a gaming podcast.
It's true.
We talked about the creamy and burger griddled smash burgers. We covered everything. We got it all. So yeah, anyway, so I'm going to be live with Silent Hill 2 Remake tomorrow. I'm going to be all by myself, and it's going to be very scary. The only thing to console me will be ice cream that I'm making in a machine. Chris, you're taking the weekend off because you did an insane amount of streaming on top of working.
Yep. Although, like I said, Until Dawn and Ghost Trick still happening in October.
I'm very excited for our plans for October, but I'm not talking about them yet. I'm fucking thrilled. I think this is some of the best stuff we've done. Personally, I'm very biased on this, though, so no promises. Aggro, what are you going to be up to?
I've decided to walk around the entire perimeter of Florida in ballerina slippers.
Oh, that's cool. That's going to give you a really good calf workout. Your calves are going to be just absolutely massive at the end of the day.
Oh, yeah. Going to be rock hard.
Cool. That's
great. And also my calves.
That's going to do it for this episode of Big Thick Dimension. Bye. Thank you very much for listening to this episode of Big Think Dimension. Big Think Dimensional is possible because of you and your support over at patreon.com/gbpodcast, where you can get access to Armchair Devs Extras, Gamer Premonitions Extra, Isolation 119, the perfect spooky movie for the perfect spooky month. That is patreon.com/gbpodcasts. Learn the secrets of Jake the Eagle.